Good morning and welcome to Workhorse Wrestling Network. You are here with us this morning, Saturday, August 30th. We come up on the end of the month, moving into September and
That is
fall season
insane.
or late summer, early fall, I guess, whatever you want to call it.
Cause
We're
what
here for
is
the winners.
September? September
We're
is
here
just
for
by
the winners.
itself.
It's the 1 month that's by itself. We're here for Winter Circle as we are every Saturday morning, 7 a.m. on the West Coast over here where I am, 10 a.m. on the East Coast over there where your Anarchy Queen, Miss Anika, is out. This is not a special episode because we're not really going to do it formally, but there was a pay per view in between our Collision and our Dynamites that we are reviewing. Um, we had Forbidden Door last Saturday, Sunday. I don't remember what Sunday, or whatever day it was, whatever day it was.
Guys,
Uh,
life really was life.
life was really late. No, it was Sunday because we did Winter Circle, so it had to be Sunday. So
Yeah, it was
um,
definitely Sunday.
it was definitely Sunday. Just real quick, couple comments. I thought it was a very solid show. We're going to talk about it. The way we decided to do it is we're going to review Collision and Dynamite like normal, give them our grades, pick a winner as we always do. But when we come across stuff that took place at Forbidden Door or people that were in matches at Forbidden Door, we're going to spend a couple seconds talking about the Forbidden Door match at the time instead of doing it
We'll talk
like
about
its
it.
own little individual review. So, um, if you're before we get started, I guess if you're new here to the Workhorse Wrestling Network YouTube
Whew.
channel, give us a subscribe, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, hit the bell on the YouTube channel. That's the best way for notifications. That's the best way to make sure that you get notified every time we put something up on the YouTube channel. If you're with us on Twitch, we appreciate you from over there. Give us a follow over there. Uh, Anybody that's watching, please chime in the chat. Let us know what you thought about Collision from the 23rd, which was the last Dynamite show or the last AEW show before Forbidden Door on the Saturday night before, or Dynamite from this last Wednesday, or Forbidden Door, or anything else you want to talk about. If we're going to talk WWE, we'll probably hold some questions until we're between shows or after we're done reviewing, so that we can try to get through the reviews of the shows and in a decent time and get everybody off to their Saturdays. So I guess that's basically it for the housekeeping. So I guess we can just go ahead and get started as we normally do. Let's see here. It was AEW Collision from Saturday, the 23rd of August. It was actually Collision plus Countdown. I didn't hang out and watch the Countdown show. I don't normally watch the Countdown show. Did you watch the Countdown show? Did I lose Miss Anika? Maybe she's not.
Oh, wait, say it again. Sorry.
Oh, I asked if you watched the Countdown show after Collision.
No.
Yeah, because it was a
It
special like Collision plus Countdown. And they kept saying, "Oh, after Collision, we go right to the Countdown show for Forbidden Door."
the
Not like
countdown
0 hour, but
show.
just the preview,
No,
right? So you can,
it's just telling us everything that's what to happen. That's literally
yeah,
all it's doing.
yeah. So she didn't hang out for that either. It was a solid episode of Collision for a go home show, being that it's technically the last one before Forbidden Door. Everything should have, in theory, everything should hopefully have something to do with what's coming up on Forbidden Door.
Yes.
It was they were in Glasgow, Scotland. It's
Give us a kiss.
Tony Schiavone, Ian Riccaboni from Ring of Honor, and Mr.
Riccaboni.
Joe McGuinness. Let's see. We got Don Callis, and he comes out to introduce Hechicero, and it leads into our first match, which is the Don Callis family of Josh Alexander, Rocky Romero, Lance Archer, and Hechicero. I think those four against Hiromu Takahashi and Skyfly, Darius Martin, Dante Martin, and Scorpio Sky. In a very solid opening match. I mean, all 8 of these guys can wrestle. I mean, I still am not super happy with the way they've been presenting Josh Alexander as kinda he often him
Yeah,
and Rocky Romero, especially with Trent Beretta, not around again for some reason. It seems like seem to be
right.
kind of positioned as the guys that are going to be the weaker links in the Don Callis family. I thought Lance Archer had a really good showing. Ultimately, as you kind of would have assumed, because Takahashi is our special guest wrestler, from yeah,
Yeah,
match and has a match the very next night against Kyle Fletcher for the TNT championship, a one-on-one match. I figured his team was getting the win, which is and they did. Let's see. Skyflight had the triple team dive off the ropes, and then Hiromu hit the time bomb to Rocky Romero for the pin. Hiromu gets the pin and the win for his team, which makes sense. I mean, the best thing about this, not the best thing about this, I guess the good thing about this is that for Skyflight, they get the rub from the win, and being in the ring with Takahashi
yeah,
is a big deal in Japan. I'm assuming that there's eyes on this from Japan. I mean, I don't know exactly what that looks like, but if there are, then these guys are getting seen by those guys, and I don't know what that means, but potentially it could mean something for their just profile in general, right? So the match was great. All these guys can really wrestle. I'm very happy, even though I'm not necessarily like the biggest top flight. I mean, now they're because we're Scorpio Sky, the Skyflight, but Darius and Dante Martin guys, mostly just because I was when they came in, and then there was so much injury and so much stuff, and they got booked so kind of poorly and weren't, it was just like, oh, okay, I
yeah,
kind of lost interest. But I'm glad to see them both back and healthy, and I'm glad to see them doing their thing. I'm starting to become a fan again, and I've always been a fan of Scorpio Sky. So I thought
yeah.
this was a very solid opening match for this episode of Collision, and I thought getting to see Takahashi was good before his match the next night against Fletcher. What'd you think of this?
No, this was a very decent match. Again, like just in case you're living under a rock and you don't know who Tanahashi is, this is a good showing of why he's so why he's so showcased for Forbidden Door. And like you said, the Skyflight, they are it's so promising to the point where it's like, please don't screw this up. Please, I beg of you, don't screw this up. And so, like you said, I'm glad that they won. The
Yeah.
Don Callis family, we need a discussion on if we have too many members. Like we really need that discussion of should some people just break free now? Cause like you said, we all knew that, you know, it's big because somebody needs to lose. But like you said, I actually like Trent and Romero, so I'm actually not. I'm actually kind of sad that the people who they're opted to lose during matches. And like you said, Josh Alexander just got here, and like I'm not like he shouldn't be going for the title, but dang, can I get a little bit more pomp and circumstance? You know, like oh he is very special. Here's why, but like you said,
Yeah.
we're gonna focus on the positives, and positives is Top Flight 1 with Scorpio Sky, and that's actually really good.
So post match, Kyle Fletcher comes out with Don Callis to stare down his challenger for at Forbidden Door, Hiromu Takahashi. I guess this seems like a good spot to talk about that match real quick from Forbidden
Yeah.
Door, since that's how we were going to do this, and this is a Takahashi and Kyle Fletcher moment on Collision. So
Yes.
that match I thought was great. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I mean, that I thought the whole show was very solid. So I mean, I'd have to really go back and think about it to think of what was my favorite match. But this was definitely up there. Even though I knew,
That
even
part.
though I was pretty convinced it was like 95-5 that Kyle's getting the win, I still think they did a good job of making it very exciting and all those things. I guess maybe there's other people that thought maybe there was a bigger percentage of chance for Hiromu. I just figured because it's so early in Kyle's reign and they're so hot
Yeah.
on Kyle and Takahashi is a Japanese star, they're probably not going to let a full-time Japanese star end up with one of their full-time titles, especially not when Kyle Fletcher just got it and he's the man for the moment. So, and a win against Hiromu is a big deal for him because Takahashi is a big deal in Japan, and he's got history with Japan and all those things. So it's a good feeling for him to get a win over a guy like that. And for the ones that are in the know, and Japan fans, it's a big deal. So it makes Kyle Fletcher look really good. So I thought it was a very solid match. Like I said, it was definitely in my top 3 matches of the night for Forbidden Door. What did you think of Takahashi versus Fletcher? Kyle Fletcher did. Oh, let me rephrase. Kyle Fletcher did get the win at Forbidden Door and retain the TNT Championship.
Surprise, surprise. Look, so there's a difference between I think someone's gonna win and I hope someone's gonna win. This was a I hope Tanahashi wins, but I'm pretty sure if I had to put money on it, Cal's winning. Now, granted, this was a good match, but that's probably gonna be the main criticism I have for Forbidden Door is that what's the face? It was not predictable, but yeah, predictable. That's exactly the word. Predictable. I already knew who was gonna win, except one time where they didn't, and I'm not sure if that was a good unpredictable moment. But it was a good match, though. It was really good.
Let's see. Next, we had what I thought was kind of an odd. I mean, I guess it was kind of funny, but I thought it was a little odd too. Hook is coming back, and yet a vignette. 2 Hook action figures are fighting, and one gets thrown off of a case that has the FTW belt in it. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what they were trying to accomplish with this vignette. I mean, obviously it's to say Hook's coming back. I get that. I just the action figures and the whole thing I thought was a little odd. But Hook's coming back, which I guess makes me happy. I mean, okay, I don't say I guess. It does make me happy. My concerns are just that I still, before he went away, it looked like he was starting to kind of break maybe over that plateau that I thought he had kind of reached for a couple years, which was like
Yeah.
he was just kind of in cruise mode. It felt like, and not really progressing. And then it felt like he was starting to progress, like the month or two before, really noticeable progressions in my opinion. Last, let's say 3 months before he got injured and went out. So I'm just curious to see which Hook we get back, um, and how that's going to look. But I mean, in a vacuum, I'm a huge Hook fan, and I want nothing for the best for him. I hope he comes back and has a huge impact and becomes the major superstar that all of them think he can be. I still think that this little vignette was a little odd, but again, it is what it is. What do you think of this?
No, I agree with you. Where it was, we're promoting him coming back, so fine. More so, what's gonna happen when he does come back? What are we doing with him? Because like, not gonna say time's ticking, but it's like, all right, either we're gonna launch him or not, and we already kind of missed the ball already. So besides that, you said it was really, again, it was fine. It really, it was okay.
We went to commercial, then we came back. We had Renee with a voiceover for the 4-way TBS match at Forbidden Door between Mercedes Monet, Persephone,
Bozilla,
Bozilla, and why am I drawing a blank on the other person's name?
Alex
Alex Windsor.
Windsor.
Alex Windsor. So, I mean, do you want to talk about the Forbidden Door match now, since we've got a
Yeah,
promo in reference to it? Okay. You want to
yeah.
you want to start, or you want me to start? Go ahead and tell us what you thought of the match. You go first, and then I'll go.
Bozilla is that chick. I'm like, baby girl, where have you been? And she is only 21 or 23. She is so young. So
Yeah.
just her standing out like this is such a good thing for her, and I love that about her. I believe Persephone had a couple of matches on AEW, or definitely in either Ring of Honor or Collision, not sure, but she was
Mhm.
fine. I still don't like how they set it up though. Like even though Bozilla's that chick, I am still like, you literally told us the diamond before Forbidden Door. That is not good. But when in doubt, like I said, I love Bozilla. I again did in my mind did not think they were going to take the belt off of Mercedes Monet. There was a couple of moments though. There was a couple of moments where like, what, which is what you want in a match. But it was a very good 4-way. I wish it would have built it up better, but a very good 4-way. I love Bozilla, but let's calm it down. We don't need her over here because right now AEW has a big person problem, especially with women. So we don't know how to book her. Let's just Let her just chill out. Let her develop more, and then maybe a year or two we'll come back around with her coming back over here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I enjoyed this. I thought this was very solid. I mean, I don't think I really thought anybody was beating Mercedes. The only reason I ever think anyone's losing or that Mercedes would have lost in this situation is because it's a multiple person match. She doesn't
Yeah.
have to take a loss and you can still protect her. Obviously, that didn't happen here. And because she has so many titles, I assume at some point with as many titles as you have, the rubber meets the road where you can't be every place at one time to defend all of them like you need to. So
Yeah.
at some point some company's going to say, well, hey, you're not defending that title enough and we're going to put it on somebody else. But again, that hasn't happened yet, and probably not with AEW at this point, because I think that's her main home and the TBS title is a big deal. So I'd be surprised if that's the one she's dropping anytime soon, at least not
Yeah.
whatever. We'll see what happens, now that kind of, I don't want to say a reset, because I guess we get a bigger reset probably after All Out and All In, or All In and All Out, right? Coming up here soon, as far as like storylines go. But even then, there's a little bit of a reset after every pay-per-view, and we'll see, what ends up with Mercedes next, right? Persephone, I thought, had a good showing. I thought Bozilla looked really, really good. Her future looks very bright. I'm
Yes.
excited for her. I don't watch Stardom, so I'm a little. I mean, I understand what you're saying about we don't necessarily need her here. We've got a big woman problem. The only reason that I say that I'm just disappointed because I don't get to see her. Now that's a me issue because I can go find Stardom and I can watch her. But
At
the
4 o'clock
reality
in
is
the
that
morning.
yeah, and it's not easy to find either. So it's not on any kind of US TV, right? So you have to actually
Yeah.
go find it somewhere, and so in that regard, I'd love to see more of her. But like you said, she's very young, so I'm sure we'll have plenty of time, barring injury and anything else, some whatever, to see her over her career. So, and you never know when at some point it'll be the right time for her to come over here to one of these companies over here and do something. So, um,
Yeah.
I thought it was a very solid match. Like I said, I wasn't surprised that Mercedes won. The only reason that I gave anything a percentage of that, Alex Windsor, I thought was the most likely if she was going to lose, just because she's been getting pushed so much, um, and those kind of things. But yeah, I mean, I still expected Mercedes to win, as she did. But I thought it was solid. I mean,
Oh
it
yeah.
wasn't in my top three favorite matches of the night, but it definitely was. I didn't think there was any match that was terrible in any way, shape, or form. I thought they were all solid, and this was very good. I thought this was very good for what it was. So I enjoyed it. I mean, it's probably not. It probably doesn't have to go. Probably don't have to say it, and we'll talk about it later. I enjoyed Tony Storm and Athena better than I enjoyed this match, but
Of course.
that's just because I'm more invested, I think, in Tony Storm and Athena, and really
Yeah.
the only one of these women I'm really invested in is Mercedes. I like Alex Windsor, but I'm not like on her side yet. And I
You
don't
didn't
know
know who
Persephone or
they were.
Bozilla. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Persephone is now, I mean, I don't know, but I think Persephone is now kind of rose to the cream of the crop because Stephanie has come to WWE. I think that was Stephanie's spot in
It's a
CMLL.
bigger car.
Um, or maybe that was AAA. Maybe I'm mistaken the two. Either
No,
way,
no, no.
whatever the case
I,
may be.
I think no, Stephanie was Stephanie was in CMLL, if I'm mistaken.
So yeah, so they got Stephanie, and so Persephone kind of moved, I think, up to that little spot, and she's solid. I don't know that I think she's as good as Stephanie, the care, but again, I mean, I haven't really seen a whole lot of her. I've seen a couple matches, but not a lot. Um,
Yeah.
for what it was, I thought it was fine. I mean, it was middle of the road and a good show. I mean, it was somewhere in the middle of the pack of a solid show. So
Real quick,
let's
real
see.
quick.
Then we had what I thought was very interesting. Oh, you got something to say? Oh,
Hey
we got a chat.
Dolores.
Hey.
What's up, D?
How are you? Thank you for everything that you do. That's Dolores.
Yes.
That's our fearless producer in the back. Every graphic you see, any sound you hear, any whatever you hear, that's all Dolores's work. Every intro, every outro. She's phenomenal at what she does. Dolores, drop your YouTube channel. She has a YouTube channel. Where she does all sorts of stuff: wrestling, crafts, games, everything from whatever you want to,
Interior
whatever your cup of
design.
tea is, she's got something for you, I'm sure.
Yes.
So go over there, check her out, give her a subscribe. She's doing wonderful stuff over there. We love Dolores a lot. So thanks for being here. Let's see. What was next? Oh, this was interesting to me. So I wanted to talk about this just kind of from a philosophical perspective because I thought this was an interesting situation. We next had a former WWE star making her AEW debut but not sure if she's technically an AEW All Elite
Yeah.
roster member yet. In one of the what is spooky witches, I think is what you called them when they were in WWE.
Yes. Yes.
Miss Isla Dawn made her
Yes.
AEW debut against Megan Bayne, which is hardly a fair debut. So I wanted to talk about this from a couple points. I think that the reason, before we actually get into the match and what happened, which there isn't a whole lot to talk about, I clearly understand why she's there. They're in Glasgow. This is her home. They're in Scotland, all those things. I get that. What I find very interesting is that if you're bringing her into AEW as to be a singles women's wrestler on the roster, it's a strange way to start with a loss like this to a Megan Bayne. Secondly, I wonder if this isn't let's jab WWE by bringing in one of their former women tag team champions and squashing her out to Megan Bayne. Like I wonder. That's the question I'm really asking. Is what do you think about the philosophy behind bringing her in and having her lose like she did? Because it was essentially a squash match. I mean, it wasn't even 5 minutes. She got a couple points of offense, but really, it was a Megan Bayne showcase.
So I don't think they're trying to. I don't think they're trying to rub WWE because no offense, I don't think WWE cared about Aladon like that. No, no offense, no offense. And we said this last week where for some reason, at least recently, people who have debuted in AEW lose their first match. So that is crazy. Now, this is not a debut. This is a one and done special appearance because, like you said, we're in Glasgow. But just the potential of maybe her coming here. But either way, you're going to get Megan Bayne. So it is what it is. So at least it wasn't a squash. Worse, so when I say squash, she did not. She got some moves in. It was like one or two moves. Oh, she actually had a near fall. Like okay, so at least they did that. And when you're facing Megan Bayne, that says a lot. That actually says a lot. But nevertheless, she did lose. I would have loved, like you said, we know it's Megan Bayne, right? And she can't lose. But you could have let her go against somebody else. You could have let her go against. I'm not sure what dynamics it could have been. Maybe a tag team match with somebody who's going to go in the Forbidden Door, or one of your top women and let her win with maybe Alex Windsor or Willow. But it was what it was, and it was very nice to see her back on television, even if it was just a special appearance.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you basically said. Uh, let's see. What was next? Oh, so Penelope, yeah,
Four.
came down to help Megan Bayne because they're Penelope Ford. Sorry, because they're whatever they are, partners, I guess, friends, whatever. And as
Yeah.
they and as they're done with Isla Dawn and make their way up the ramp. Willow comes out and passes them. You get a little eyeballs back and forth as she comes down in her in Dolores's most hated happy-go-lucky attitude. Um,
So
and
crazy.
she is here for a match. It's going to be Willow and Queen Aminata versus two members of the Triangle of Madness, Julia Hart and Sky Blue. Dare I say the two that don't matter? I guess we like
No.
Julia Hart, but we definitely don't care about Sky Blue over here.
Sky Blue
Which
just needs some work. We'll just say that.
which brings me to my favorite thing about this match, which was that Queen Aminata and Willow Nightingale did get the win, which I think is very good. I say it's very good because even though I don't care about whatchamacallit,
Sky
Sky
Blue.
Blue or Sky Blue or Julia Hart. I do think that they're pushing the Triangle of Madness, and so for Willow and Queen Aminata to get a win over whatever amalgamation of the Triangle of Madness is a good thing. So, and I liked. We got the Samoan Watchman in the house. Hola, sir. Thanks for joining us. Aloha. Let us know what your thoughts on Forbidden Door or Collision. Anything you want to say? We're here. Chat it up. Sorry, I didn't mean to put it back up again. What was I gonna say? I was saying, let's see.
Even
Oh,
though,
I'm happy.
Travel Max
I
is
think Queen and
official.
Willow. Yeah, I think Queen and Willow looked really good together. I liked them as a tag team. I thought they had good chemistry. And I think they've done more with Queen Aminata lately, but they still haven't pushed her the way I'd like to. And Willow gets
Yeah.
pushed more. And so if Aminata with Willow pushes Aminata too, then all the better. Um, I still wish they would push Willow a little bit more, but at least she's on TV a lot. She's
Yes.
one of your regular mainstays in the women's division. So Aminata gets a rub on that. And, they got the win over the Triangle of Madness, which is a good deal. I enjoyed this. I thought it was a solid match. Queen Aminata did get the win for the team, and I thought it was very good. And I was happy to see two, even though the Megan Bain segment, was a showcase slash squash. I mean, Isla Donkey did get a little. Um, I was still happy to see two back-to-back women's segments. I mean, I don't necessarily want it to become like, oh, the first 40 minutes is a women's chunk or the middle 30 minutes is a women's chunk. I mean, back-to-back is what, but it's still nice just to get more women's stuff, I guess, in general. So, what do you think of this?
I like how they did it. I like when they do it like this because it's more so not putting everything crammed all women in one segment, but more so, oh, more cause like Megan Bain really didn't have a direction. She just comes out and beat people up. The whole bump the shoulder Willow, like, oh, we're gonna run that back. I like that. So that's why I like the little transition from match to match. This was cool. I'm on the same boat, even though I'm still trying to give Scott Blue some respect. I do love that they're like, it's a new group. And I think that's what pisses us off as fans. It's like, y'all know how to push people. So stop pissing in our ear to tell us that it's raining. You know how do you push people? They win matches. So to that degree, I do love that they're pushing Triangle Madness. On the other hand, I love Willow and Kanamina way better. So it's not three of them together in the tag team match. So it was so on that account, it was good. I agree with you with everything about Aminata and Willow. Them together works, and hopefully just pushes Aminata better, more because they are doing a solid job at pushing her and putting her more in the forefront. But now it's like shove that chick to the front, like stop scooching her, shove her to the front, please and thank you.
And I agree with all that. And the other thing is that it's good to see that um, whoever it is, if it's Tony Khan alone or who's ever in the writing room, the creative room, that there's a storyline that isn't necessarily revolving around the TBS or the world title, right? Because you have a lot of other stuff going on besides just
Yes,
what's going on around those two titles. So here you have a storyline that doesn't have either title in it, and that's nice to see. So it just it just shows that they're paying attention to other things, which in the women's division is a big deal. They have a hard time paying
it
attention to
is.
just the titles, let alone the other stuff. So let's see. Post match, Tekla came down to help to beat down Willow for the Triangle of Madness to beat down Willow. Megan Bain and Penelope Ford are back to help the Triangle of Madness. But here comes Harley Cameron, who's back. Oh, Hack Cameron. Harley Cameron, who's back. She attacks Penelope on the ramp. She makes her way down to the ring. She kicks Megan Bain. Megan Bain throws Harley Cameron across the ring, and that brings out Chris Statlander. Stat clears the ring, and Statlander and Cameron, Nightingale, Willow, and whatchamacallit all stand tall. Aminata all stand tall. Interesting. I mean, we've been talking about what they're going to do with Chris Statlander. I mean,
Yeah.
this has to be some sort of indication that she's going to be a babyface. I mean, I think it's been very unclear where she really stands, and maybe this is that I'm coming out to help the faces. Maybe this is that clear direction on what she's going to be. I don't. That doesn't give us any kind of storyline, except that now she's interjected in this feud. So I guess maybe at some point we get some sort of multi-women match here with all these women in some way as we're coming up on All Out or All In the near future here. Maybe we get some sort of something. I don't know. What do you think of this post-match stuff?
It was fine. I was gonna say something. No, yeah, it was fine. More so, there you go. More so the Statlander stuff. So this is actually a way better way of putting all the girls together. It's like, okay, you had the bump between Megan Bain and Willow. That's why she's coming out. Like we don't ask for a lot. We just need things to make sense, and this made more sense. And here comes Harley Cameron. And crazy enough, Harley Cameron and Statlander are friends. Here comes Statlander. I don't know how I feel about the Statlander and Harley Cameron mashup. More so, they know that Harley has personality, and I don't want her to be the heater for people who need to be revved up. I want her. I want them to find a spot for her in some individuality. So like this happened with her in Anna J. And after Anna J, she goes off into the oblivion. Well, her nose broke, but basically you start focusing on Harley after she helped Anna J. And now you have attached her with Statlander, and it's like no. Harley's a star. Let's not forget that. I'm not saying I don't like it, but let's just keep the main thing the main thing. We want Harley to be pushed as well. But we'll see what happens. But this was all fine. This was fun.
As we're doing these, I'm trying to remember all of the AEW matches so that if there's someone was in them and what we're talking about, that we talk about it. But
it was a 4-way at 0 hour with all the women. It was at 0 hour, but we can still it was still a good match, but it was still 0 hours.
Yeah, so it was Harley Cameron, Chris Statlander, Queen Aminata, and Willow versus the Triangle of Madness, which is Julia Hart, Sky Blue, and Thekla, and they were joined by Megan Bayne, and that was on the 0 hour. Let's see, in this one, the villains or the bad guys, I guess, Megan Bayne and the Triangle of Madness did get the win. I remember. I'm trying to think. I know I watched 0 hour. I'm pretty sure I caught this match. There were 4 matches in the 0 hour. But yeah, I mean, I remember watching this now. The reason that I say that is just because when you have feuds and stuff, you see these guys so many times. And when you have a Collision and a Dynamite and all these things, for several weeks, you start to see them and you forget what's on what, right? And then you get a pay-per-view in the middle and it's like, well, where did that actually happen? Did that actually happen on this show or that show or this show? So no, and when it's on a 0 hour, it's less of an impact because it doesn't feel like it's necessarily on the real show. So, but I do remember watching this. I do remember being a little disappointed that the villains got the win, but I guess it's, it is what it is. I guess the heroes got the win the week before, right? So, or on Collision. So, I thought the match at 0 hour, I remember thinking it could have been on the main card, that I thought it was that, good. So, I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, again, these women can all wrestle, and I thought that it was all. What did you think of the 0 hour match?
It was fine. Like I said, I agree with everything you said. Where basically, I'm not sure if I would put it on the main card. It's like it's one of the things where it's like you have a wealth of riches, but sometimes everyone just can't make it, unfortunately. But I'm glad they were in 0 hour. Like I said, the villains winning again. You're trying to push the new people, and I think talk about more about it. Megan Bayne. I think they're positioning Megan Bayne to take the title off of Toni Storm. And I'm not sure how to feel about that, but if that's the plan, at least she's not losing. So you did its job.
Lexi Nair is here with Daniel Garcia and Matt Menard for what I thought was kind of a weird little segment. Daniel Garcia states, Lexi says you should have been disappointed in that, or you should at least have mixed emotions about losing your technical spectacle match to Nigel McGuinness because he's moving on. Well, it didn't. I mean, it was 1-on-1, but that he didn't win that match and move on to Forbidden Door to face Zack Sabre Jr. And Daniel Garcia basically says no. Nigel won the match. Showed he was a better wrestler. Nigel asked me to be in his corner. I'm going to do it because it's better to be a better friend than it is to be a better wrestler sometimes. And yeah, and I was like,
Lexi trolling so hard, what bro. She's trolling so hard.
Yeah, and this is like, it's weird when you have someone doing a promo to put somebody else over. Like, this had really nothing to do with Daniel Garcia. And why is Matt Menard there? Matt Menard has absolutely nothing to do with what's going on. He's not involved with Nigel and Daniel other than being Daniel's friend. So that I thought was weird. And just have Daniel Garcia come up and say, oh yeah, Nigel's a better wrestler. I'm going to be in his corner because I'm a good friend. Like, oh, okay. Like, I thought it was weird. It's not necessarily egregious or terrible. I just thought it was odd. What about you? You seem to think the same thing.
Yes, I did. Again, Lexi Nair be trolling, and I thought this was going to lead to a heel turn, but evidently it didn't. So that made it more weirder. It was like, I guess it's understandable to want to know how Daniel Garcia is feeling, but in my mind, do it with Nigel McGuinness. Don't do it by himself. Do it with Nigel McGuinness. Maybe
yeah, this could have very easily been. Yeah, this could have very easily been a Nigel promo and just have Daniel Garcia come in and say, "Congratulations," shake his hand, and then Nigel
Yeah.
says, "You can be in my corner," and Daniel says, "Yeah." I mean that would have been made much more sense. Because then it's at least Nigel talking about Nigel, not just Daniel talking about Nigel, which I thought
Yeah.
was very weird. So let's see. Nigel McGuinness versus Zack Sabre Jr. Want to talk about it now?
Not yet. I want to talk
Okay,
about it
not yet.
with the best men alive, with the best wrestler alive.
They're the best wrestler alive. All right. Platinum Mac Caster is here in Scotland, in Glasgow. And let's see. And the last time,
Let's
let's see. So
go.
he's here. He says, last time I survived 5 minutes in the ring with Shibata. Shibata couldn't last 5 minutes in the ring with me. Sorry.
You know
He
what?
shook my hand because he was,
Time out.
yeah,
I love that they don't know the rules to this challenge.
right? I do
Like
too. Nobody
I
knows the
love
rules,
that.
it seems like, right?
Like, it's 5 minutes on the clock. So do I let you withstand 5 minutes or do I don't? It's hilarious.
Oh man. Yeah, and it doesn't matter. Yeah, for whatever reason, either way you do, you're it's a win-win for Max Caster, right? Like, well, other than when he takes the pin, but like, it's like he's never totally lost. So, which is weird because he's losing all the time. Nonetheless, Shibata couldn't last 5 minutes with him. He shook my hand because he respects me, and he knows that all the Maximaniacs in the Deer Green section respect me too. So much that you want to chant my name. Uh,
Let's go,
uh,
Max. You're the best wrestler alive. Let's go, Max. You're the best wrestler alive.
maybe we'll try. Let's see. He says, do, 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 do. Zack Sabre Jr. is here.
Crazy. Love this.
Right. So Zack Sabre Jr. is here, and he accepts the Platinum Max Caster Challenge and beats him in 2 minutes and 33 seconds, according to the count. According to here, and Max tapped out in the Cobra Twist. Um, you know, I don't think anyone thought, especially with Zack Sabre Jr. showing up in the history of Max Caster doing the Open Challenge, that Max was winning in any way, shape, or form. I know he wants the crowd to chant that he's the best wrestler alive, and the crowd likes it because it's a catchy little chant. But clearly, anybody that watches wrestling knows, unfortunately, Max Caster is not the best wrestler alive. And that one of the best wrestlers alive, especially perhaps the best technical wrestler alive on the planet at the moment that's actively wrestling, is Zack Sabre Jr. So,
Yeah.
who is who ended up, having a match against Nigel McGuinness at Forbidden Door, which we'll talk about here in a minute. What do you think about Zack Sabre showing up for the 5-minute challenge?
Loved it. I'm like, this is how you promote Forbidden Door in less than 5 minutes. This was very, very good. I love Zack Sabre Jr. He is a person I would love to see more of on my television screen because someone said it and it totally makes sense. He's a Guy Ritchie villain. He is from the world of Guy Ritchie as a mobster, but you're very, very posh. And I love that about him. Like with this matchup, and then like him just basically doing all kinds of holds on Max. Like, come on, Max, hey! And it's like, no, I didn't want you. Leave me alone. And then Max just going to Nigel on commentary for this. And Max looking at Nigel, what do I do? Like, listen, like you just hold on to it. And again, progress where it isn't just a total squash. Matt's got a couple, like 2 or 3 more than last time. So like progress. Like this was very much so fun. And at the end, of course, night because we don't know the rules. What's his name? Don't tell me. Zack Sabre Jr. So I had a brain fart off my brain. Zack Sabre Jr. makes Max tap out, but again shakes his hand. And then the whole him and Nigel face off, that was so good. And you can tell ever since words are coming out hard. Sorry, brain fart. Get it together. Ever since Brian Bryan Danielson came back to AEW, and then like you can tell Zack Sabre Jr. is like, I want these matches. I want these matches right now. And then Nigel came back. He's like, oh, it's like you can tell Nigel's like, Zack Sabre Jr. is like, nope, don't care. I don't care what I'm doing. We're having these matches before they retire again. And that whole confrontation between him and Nigel is so like, you can tell they're like, we're gonna kill it. We're gonna kill like it was no, oh, you're a bad guy, I'm a good guy. It's like, nope, we're gonna kill it. I'm so happy to do this with you. Like vice versa, just back and forth, back and forth. And then they shake hands, and then Zach leaves, and then Nigel leaves, and then Nigel what do you call it? Nigel holds on, and then I love Zach. He's like, oh, we're doing this. Like, yes, we are doing this. It's so, it was so yummy for a 7 minute segment. It was so all of it was so yummy.
The only complaint that I have about all this, and so like you said, I'll finish post match. Post match, like you said, Zack Sabre Jr. goes over to the announce table. He talks to Nigel. They shake hands. And then Nigel holds his hand and tells him he's going to take his title. Zach laughs and walks off. But while that's happening, Anthony Bowens comes into the ring to attack Max Caster again. And then eventually here comes Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn pushes Bowens off, and Bowens gets in his face, and Billy Gunn tells him several times, back the fuck up. And eventually Anthony Bowens backs up and leaves the ring and walks away. So here's my issue with all of this. Well, several issues. One is that I think that the Max Caster Open Challenge, people not knowing the rules, has some funness to it, has a little bit of whatever. At the same time, I think it's, for me personally, it's getting a little long in the tooth. Like, we've been doing this now for a while. I mean, it's been, and I thought, and I know ultimately it appears that it still is heading towards, the ultimate face-off with Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, but the match that they had 3 weeks ago where Bowens beat him in 2 minutes doesn't lend, I don't think, a whole lot to me thinking that whatever they do down the road is going to be given the respect that it should be given between these two guys. And I don't know how much longer this is going to last. And I think that with the Zack Sabre Jr. and the Nigel stuff mixed in the middle, this whole segment was a little convoluted for me. I mean, you have basically two different things going on at the same time. You've got the Max Caster Anthony Bowen story, and then because Zack Sabre Jr. is an opponent, you've got the Zack and Nigel train. I'm not saying you didn't get either enough. It just feels kind of crammed together. So none of them really have anything to do with each other, right? I mean, other than Max Caster wrestling, other than Max Caster wrestling Zack Sabre Jr. that night, there's no, Nigel has nothing to do with the Bowens and Caster and Gunn, and neither does Zack Sabre Jr. So it felt a little mishmashed together as far as the post-match stuff, but I enjoyed it all. I just want to know what the ultimate goal here is with Max Caster, because I'm assuming Bowens versus Billy Gunn is coming. That's probably coming sooner. At some point, Bowens, to make the full heel turn, is going to have to punch Billy Gunn in the face. I mean, not that he already hasn't, but I think that's the final straw. And I'm assuming we're going to see that at any point in time here. I'm not sure why they haven't totally done it. I thought maybe last night was the perfect spot to do that. Or I'm sorry, this episode, this situation might have been a good spot to do that. But Billy Gunn's a big dude, right? And when they're together, like, if you're Anthony Bowens, you're like, maybe not. Like, he's not just he's a big dude too. Like, so maybe he thought twice about it, which you can see he was thinking twice about it. But so I don't know. I just want to know where this is ultimately going. We've been doing this 5-minute open challenge now for quite a while, and don't get me wrong, it can be fun, but at the same time, it's like, are we going to get to more than that? I just don't, so I don't know. What do you think about the Bowens and Billy Gunn stuff? You already talked about Zack Sabre Jr. and Nigel stuff, so.
Yeah. It was fine. We already knew where this was heading, where evidently we're going to have like a real life rivalry between, well, not real life rivalry, but like a real life, it's not going to be a 5-minute match. It's going to be an actual match between these two. I do agree with you. I'm not sure how much importance they're going to give to this, but we'll see. If it's on Collision, it's more of a chance they're going to give it more importance if it's on Dynamite. That's just me, because this is definitely a Collision thing. Him versus Bowens versus Billy Gunn, I don't want to see. I don't want to see it. I agree with you. To fully turn heel, he needs to punch him in the face. But do I need a match? I don't need a match.
Yeah.
I don't need a match. I'm up to here with the Billy Gunn matches. So yeah, besides that, it was fine. And I just hope both of them come out better when this is finally resolved. I really do. Not sure what better means, but like just let it be better.
Yeah. Slander and Harley Cameron are in the back together. Harley Cameron thanks her for her help in her quest for vengeance. Cameron asks her if she got her money. Statlander says no. Big surprise. I told you there was no real money. Told you it's all just a gimmick.
No. Right now, because the EVPs
I
are
know.
not EVPs anymore, they're just Nick and Jack.
Yeah, I know. It was supposed to come from the Young Bucks account because it keeps saying insufficient funds, which is hysterical.
It is.
Let's see. The Death Riders are here. Moxley goes into the dressing room, and Wheeler and Claudio and Marina stare at Harley Cameron and Chris Statlander for a minute, and then Wheeler makes a little comment. John walks out, leaves, and then Wheeler makes. I wasn't totally clear. I don't think I heard his comment, but he made a little comment. Moxley comes out with a bag of money. He hands it to Stat, and then he walks away. And Wheeler said something, and then Claudio basically drags Yuta away after he says what he said to him.
That.
So
Yeah.
was he hitting on her? I think maybe he was trying to hit on her or something. I mean, I'm not sure what he was trying to do. I didn't quite catch what he said.
Not hit on her, but like some kind of comparison with each other.
So what do you think of this little segment here? All this.
I don't hate it. More so, what is like you said, what's the end game? Do I want Statlander with the Death Riders? Maybe. Maybe. Like if you want to do Stat and Marina and the tag team.
That's exactly what I was just about to say. That's the only way I think it really works, right? So
that wouldn't suck. And even though they're called Death Riders, it is what you call it. It's the Blackpool Combat Club, where basically they have a dojo and they just want to train people, so they don't have to be together. You could just go to the dojo and try to be a better wrestler and then come out weirder. But then you have Harley Cameron on the side, so I'm not sure where this leads, but it does make Statlander more interesting to me. I'll say that.
Yeah. No, I agree with all that. I'm not sure what I want Statlander to do, but I definitely want something to happen. She needs some direction. I think Marina and Stat could be a solid female tag team if they did that like that. And I think if you bring her in, that's really kind of the only way that you really benefit from having her there, because you don't need two Marina Shafirs. I mean, Marina's doing fine, but you don't need another female muscle. I've already nothing against Marina Shafir. I've already vocalized my issues with Jon Moxley needing protection from anybody, or from, let alone a Marina Shafir. The dude, Jon Moxley, might be the most vicious man on the planet, but he needs Marina Shafir to protect him.
So not protection, just we call it a little insurance policy.
So, I just, to bring another one on, and maybe Stat's a slight bit more believable because of her size and whatever, that she can be a little bit more of a bouncer type person. But again, I really think that the sweet spot, if they bring her in, would be for them two to be a tag team and potentially go after whatever, the tag team championship. So let's see. Next, we've got a solid New Japan match between a well-known New Japan figure to AEW, Tomohiro Ishii, who we see a lot of times, active member of the conglomerate. So even though he's not all elite per se, he's here enough that he's a member of the faction, and he's taking on. He is the New Japan New Japan Never Openweight champion, and he is taking on the newly crowned G1 Climax winner, Konosuke Takeshita. Congratulations to Mr. Takeshita on his win. It's the G1 beating Evil. I happen to
Yes, yes,
like
yes.
Evil, so it is what it is. At the same time, I'm glad Takeshita won just because Evil's been there and done that enough times. Not won the G1, but
Yes.
just been around the top enough. And Takeshita's, a younger star who they're pushing. So in that regard, I think it's fine that they did it. So again, congratulations to Takeshita for winning. Holy smokes. This match was everything that I wanted it to be. If you are not
Bruh.
familiar with New Japan or with Japanese strong style wrestling, watch this match because this is a perfect example of very good, solid, strong style wrestling. It's not no selling, it's just strong style where the men are tough enough to take it and bounce back.
You're happy.
And so you got, I
Yeah.
mean, everything here. I mean, these two men went at it, blow for blow, move for move. I thought it was, I thought this was amazing. This was my favorite match of this episode for sure, and maybe of both Collision and Dynamite from these two shows. I thought this was great. Takeshita did get the win, as you would kind of assume, since he just won the G1 and is, on a very upward trajectory. He's also this might be, I don't want to say it's a hot take. This is definitely debatable. I think he's the biggest star, despite Kyle Fletcher's push in the Don Callis family at the moment.
Oh,
Takeshita is. So,
it's not.
and the Don Callis
He is.
family is, the second biggest faction in WWE or in AEW behind the Death Riders, probably, as far as importance goes at the moment. So,
Oh yeah.
so it doesn't surprise me that Takeshita got the win, but I'm glad that they let Ishii beat the shit out of him for 10 minutes, or that they both beat the shit out of each other for 10 minutes. Yeah, I enjoyed this, and I thought Takeshita came out looking really, really good, especially after the G1, because this was a slobber knocker, and he's just coming off the G1, so to come here and do this, I thought was impressive. And for Ishii, who we should never be impressed by what he does, not necessarily, not always impressed, never doubt what he can do. Definitely lived up to, battling Takeshita to the limits in this match. So I thought this was great. I enjoyed this. What do you think?
No, this was really good, and you don't know how much you miss somebody until they're gone. So it's like Takeshi like Takeshi's back. Yes, Boo Boo Bear. Welcome home. And Ishii is this that grizzly teddy bear you want to hug, even though you know he might just headbutt the crap out of you. This was so when you have Ishii over to AEW, these are the matches that you want to see. This was so freaking delicious. It was so good. It didn't make no doggone sense. Like you said, strong style. They weren't no selling. They were just like I can't say hulking up anymore. Screw you. Screw you. Sorry. No, sorry. More so like just them to just like take this, just absorbing it and going back to back, and yeah, it was just got me tingling. It was so good. I love this. This could have been on Dynamite.
Yeah,
That's the only I would have loved more eyes on it. Like, but this was so good. I'm glad we watched it. It was so freaking good.
it definitely was. I'm trying to hold on for just one second. Let's see. No, I guess that was it. I was trying to remember. Nope, no Takeshita match on. Takeshita did not have a match at Forbidden Door. So for some reason,
He did
I
not.
was thinking
He did
he
not.
was. For some reason, I thought he was in a match with them. Anyhow, so let's see. Next we've
Maybe
got
0 hour, but yeah.
next we get Big Bill with Brian Keith versus another Scotland native, Mark Andrews, or Mandrews as he's been known in several promotions. He was in he was in NXT UK for a long time. He was a mainstay there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, Big Bill and Brian Keith obviously have, with Jericho gone, they're no longer, I guess, technically in, whatever vortex he was in, the tree of life. They're on their own, and
Right.
Big Bill is definitely thriving a little bit more than Brian Keith, but together they're still doing what they're doing. Big Bill obviously always looks the part. He comes in, he knows what to do, he gets the job done, he looks good in doing it. I find it very interesting that they had two Scotland natives and both lost in rather decisive fashion. Honestly, I mean, Isla Dawn got more offense than Mark Andrews, but Big Bill, this was essentially a squash here. I mean, I think it was all of maybe 2 minutes when it really boils down to it. So And, it ended the way you would expect it to end, which is a choke slam from Big Bill. And then post match, Brian Keith brings two chairs into the ring for Big Bill to set up and choke slam poor Mandrews through the two chairs. Um, and then Big Bill stands tall until GOA comes out and glares at them before their match, which was next. What do you think of this Big Bill showcase against Mark Andrews?
It was what it was. Honestly, that's literally what it is. It was what it was. Like you said, um, I don't mind them showcasing Big Bill. Like if you're not gonna if they're not gonna be in a title picture of any sort, at least heat them up so when you put them in there, it don't make it's not out of nowhere. Don't know who Mark Andrews is per se. So so that goes my interest in what was happening in the scenario. But Big Bill, and Brian Keith still a prominent factor in Collision. I'm not mad at it at all. I'm not.
Let's see. I was a little surprised that the bullet or the Bang Bang Gang didn't show up just because I thought this looked like a spot where they would because there wasn't much of a match and they've had this ongoing story with Big Bill and Brian Keith. But again, is what it is. Gates of Agony is here with Ricochet for their match against the grizzled young veterans, which I love. I like both these tag teams. So this is difficult for me. I don't really want either of them to lose. Uh, GYV has been very sporadic on AEW TV, no matter where they've been. I mean, few and far between. I mean, they've been on, but not on a regular, consistent basis, which is really unfortunate
And it shouldn't be that
because
way.
I think they're one of the better tag teams when they're wrestling. I mean, they should be wrestling the Young
They
Bucks.
are.
They should be wrestling FTR. They should be wrestling all the best tag teams that AEW has to offer. And not that GOA isn't at that list, but it is what it is. This was extremely solid. Gates of Agony did get the win, and very fun, very competitive. Um, this is different for me than like this is the perfect if you're gonna take a loss, but you're still gonna make somebody look decent. This is the right way to do it because I thought that even though grizzled young veterans took the win or took the loss and they're not on my TV enough, they looked good in defeat. I thought they had a lot of offense. I
Yes.
thought they showed out really well against Gates of Agony. I don't want to say that they had too much offense for a team like Gates of Agony that you're pushing because you also don't want Gates of Agony to look weak, but it's GYV. So, like, they're extremely good. So they should be getting a ton of offense. And in my mind, I always think this should go the other way. As much as I like Gates of Agony, I know they're getting pushed with Ricochet. For me, GYV is a better tag team and they should be beating Gates of Agony. But again, it is what it is. That's not how AEW has them positioned at the moment. That's just in my head as far as like talents go and the way these levels work. But again, um, I thought this was extremely fun, and I enjoyed seeing GYV again on the TV. Obviously, gets back and he gets a win, and that helps their uh, tandem with Ricochet to continue to move up the AEW charts. I guess however you want to call it, right? So, what do you think of this?
Yes. I agree with everything you just said. GYV was a missed opportunity on both sides of the brand, on WWE and AEW. Where's the WWE? We all knew what happened. NXT Nickelodeon happened, and they really didn't have a spot there, and that just blew up their situation. AEW when they came over, I remember it was at All In London last year, and they went and they attacked the wrong team, and they really didn't know how to go from there. And it's just like, ugh, like you said, why this team should be more. This team should be on my TV screen, especially with AEW now, and you're not really your tag team is not really tag teaming right now. But nevertheless, this was a great match. Again, I love this IDs getting a push, and like now they're gonna, we'll talk about it later. They're in a more prominent situation on television, and hopefully they come out stronger. I'm praying, Jesus, please just let them come out stronger after this program with Hurt Syndicate. But before that, this was a good, like you said, on both parties. Everyone looks great. Great match.
I guess we could talk about the 0 hour match from Forbidden Door with Gates of Agony and Ricochet versus Jet Speed and Michael Oku. Ricochet and the Gates of Agony did get the win. This has obviously been going on for a while. They've been feuding with Jet Speed. Jet Speed's been all around Ricochet and Ricochet around them. So this made sense. We haven't seen Michael Oku a whole lot or in a while. He's here sparsely too. So I thought it was fine. I thought the Forbidden Door match was fine. I wouldn't call it great. It definitely isn't the best iteration of Ricochet and uh, GOA versus Jet Speed. We've seen it done better, but I thought this was fine. I mean, obviously Michael Opu's here because it's his hometown. It's his hometown, so another to get that pop and Forbidden Door. Um, no, it's fine. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about it. I mean, obviously Ricochet and them got the win. I still want, even though even though Jet Speed's getting a lot of TV time, I still ultimately want more for them as a tag team and ultimately as individual wrestlers when they end up going individual. We'll see what that looks like. But yeah, I mean, still kind of want more for them as a tag team. What did you watch the match on Forbidden Hour on the 0 hour? What did you think of it?
I did not, but it's one of them things. More so with Forbidden Door, we still want matches on the main card to be more Forbidden Dory people against other promotions if possible. So with that being said, it's kind of hard to put more. I think it'll be more like you didn't have to put Jet Speed and Michael Oku versus Ricochet and against in my mind, Speedball Jet Speed been doing more than against Agony and Ricochet. So I would have loved if y'all would have found something for them to do on the main card and against Agony and Ricochet could just come in when they came in. Michael Oku, get on that card, baby. Get up, get known because he is very, very good. It's like it was what it was for a 0 hour match.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to. What was I going to say? I drew a total blank on what I was going to say. Oh, I guess it wasn't important. I'm trying to remember it, and I'll say it down the road. Next, we had what I thought was the worst part of this Collision episode: the promo with Gabe Kidd and the Bullet Club War Dogs. I thought it was a terrible promo. Gabe Kidd comes out. They all four of them are there. Gabe Kidd kind of comes into the picture, kind of in what I would call his John Moxley-esque attempt to kind of, be super intense. He says he's sick and tired of everyone taking food from his family's table. I understand what you're saying. I'm just not sure I buy that. Off of Clark Connor's table, off of Driller Maloney's table, off of Robbie X's table. The reality is we don't even know who most of these guys are. I mean, you do if you pay attention to New Japan, but if you don't even really know who most of these guys are. You probably know who Gabe Kidd is. You may or may not have heard of Driller Maloney. Chances are good. I mean, Clark Connors was around before, so you might have heard of him. Probably never heard of Robbie X. So, it is what it is. Kidd says they're here to take care of a couple little bitches. Clark Connors says a couple things that I couldn't even decipher with his accent and with the way he was saying it. And then Driller Maloney said, uh, if you want to fight them, you better check the red sign on the front door because it says beware of dogs. The whole thing. And it's unfortunate because I really like the Bullet Club War Dogs. They can all really wrestle. I think Robbie X is maybe the anomaly, but even then, he's very solid. All four of these guys are great. They have the ability to be so good. And this to me just came off really bad. I thought Gabe Kidd did a poor impression of what he thought John Moxley would do in that situation as opposed to just be himself. And the other guys are just not exciting and they need work on their promos in general. So what do you think of this? Oh, they're coming for the ops. Sorry. They're coming for the trios titles. They're coming for Joe and the ops.
So this was a thing of y'all should have done this last year. This was a year too late. I actually like what they were saying, but basically Forbidden Door made their names off of Bullet Club and we're tired of them making your names off of us and not taking us seriously. It's like this would have been fine. This would have been a great promo, but when Jay White was the leader, like you said, even like no one really knows y'all like that right now, or even like I said last year. Crazy enough, I know these people because they're on they're on Wrestle Talk doing the Survival Series, and I actually fell in love with all of them. I'm like, oh, okay, I actually. But again, the momentum has already left, and then you can't like. This is one of the things where I hate Tony Khan does. You can't be You can't be setting up a match, the show before, like the day before the show. No one's gonna get hyped. Like this could have been done 2 weeks ago. It would have been better. But now you're just setting up this last minute match. And you just for people to come like get excited for it, and you can't. I would have loved that this was an actual segment with just them and the ops, and then they do this segment just to get them hyped up. But yeah, that's my thing. Like, this was a year or two late. This could have done last year. You could have definitely need to promote it more. Like this segment was fine, but it was just too late.
Yep. And then to our main event, which was amazing until it wasn't. We had the Young Bucks versus the Paragon of Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. Unfortunately, there is no Adam Cole at the moment. And the non-EVP Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, no longer Matthew and Nicholas, are here for a solid everything you absolutely should love about tag team wrestling until Kyle O'Reilly puts the ankle lock on and Don Callis, on Matt Jackson, and Don Callis comes out and decides to distract the referee so Anika's husband and favorite wrestler, Kazuchika Okada, can step into the ring and give a rainmaker.
No, what? No, what the hell?
Can give a rainmaker to whatchamacallits, to the Paragon, and ultimately end up in an EVP trigger. And notes I'm reading here because there's somebody else's summary. He says Rod and Todd get the win. So he's calling them Rod and Todd Flanders, Nick and Matt Jackson, Rod and Todd Flanders from The Simpsons. That's hysterical. Get the win in a little over 15 minutes. You know, this, like I said, this was amazing until it wasn't. You know, if you like tag team wrestling, watch it until Don Callis comes out because this is everything that tag team wrestling should be. If you're into technical wrestling, you had it. If you're into high flying, you had it. If you're into, striking, you had it. Grappling, definitely had it. You know, so I thought all four of these men are incredible. They're two of the best tag teams on the planet when they're going, the right way. And everything was going great. And then obviously you got Okada's, interruption. And as you expect, this is right on par for the Young Bucks. It's perfectly in their bag. It's right on par. It's right in their lane. I just don't like it, and I think it takes a very solid tag team match and ruins it. So, in that regard, I wouldn't call it egregious because the match was great, but the ending definitely left me very sour. So, yeah, what do you think of this?
This is a this was 4 years ago. This would have been the main event of Dynamite, where it's like they're called a Paragon, but basically this is Undisputed versus the Young Bucks, and it's like more so Matt and Nick Jackson versus Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. Like that should have been that's a Billboard main event, and not sure how they're going to do it, but we need to get Roderick and Cal on a higher card. We need to push him higher. I'm not sure who needs to help them. Maybe Mark Briscoe can confirm that they're in a conglomeration, but I need that because this should have been a bigger deal that these four are doing a match, let alone on Collision. And like you said, I agree with everything you said. This had everything you wanted. You can this is why you gotta strike with the irons hot, because if this was when Kyle and Roderick first came and they first got together with Adam Cole and AEW, like I get you want some stuff to marinate, but some stuff you gotta strike with the irons hot. I would have loved to just no, all right, boom, tag team titles, boom, this is the main event, boom, like all that being said, this was so freaking good. And like you said, then here comes Okada and stupid Don Cal. I was like, no, not right now. Please and thank you. But they're heels. So they're gonna heal every single day. And it was fine. But no, this was a very tasty match. Hopefully, though, I'm not sure how, but run this back. Do what you gotta do to make this a bigger deal.
Yeah, no, I agree. We forgot.
This should not be on Collision.
I totally forgot in the last segment before we got to the main event during the Bullet Club War Dogs promo. We should have, I guess, talked about their match in 0 Hour against the Ops for the trios title at the same time. So I guess we can backtrack real quick and just touch on that real quick. The Ops did get the win on 0 Hour and retain the trios titles. I did think that the match. Let's see. The Bullet Club War Dogs, or whatever you're calling them, War Dogs, are better in the ring than they are on the microphone. So all the critiques that I had about their promo on Collision, I don't have about their wrestling match in the ring against the Ops at 0 Hour. They're solid wrestlers. All four of them are extremely talented, and I thought they looked really good. I'm glad that the Ops got the win just because I'm a huge Samoa Joe fan and a Shibata fan.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the Ops in general.
Yeah.
So, Hobbs is what he is for me to a certain extent, but I'm absolutely Joe's one of my favorite guys of all times, and I love Shibata now that I've gotten to know him through AEW. So, I'm glad they got the win, but the match was solid. Did you watch the match on 0 Hour?
I did not, but someone said that it went from 0 Hour to the main event. I'm like, yes, that shit. The last match of 0 Hour, the last little part should go to the pay-per-view. 0 Hour is meant to hype up. Is meant to hype up the pay-per-view. So them doing, I totally agree about them doing it like that, and they should do that more. They should do that way more. So that was fine. And again, everyone in this, he said, I agree with you. Everyone in the match can wrestle, so it makes perfect sense that that match was good. That's all.
Post match, the Bucks and Okada are beating up on Paragon, and then we get whose house? Swerve's house. And Swerve and Nana are here. Okada tells the Bucks he's got this. Swerve enters the ring, but Okada runs out. The Bucks attack him. Swerve fights him off, and then while his back is turned, Okada comes in with the knee block to the back of the knee, and it ends up with Okada hitting a Rainmaker, and Okada and the Bucks posing in the ring over Strickland. This is obviously, to increase or to lead up to their match at Forbidden Door on the next day, in which Swerve challenged Okada for that ununified, which is the former international and continental championships that have been unified into that.
See, calling it the unified title is stupid.
It is. So let's see. You want to talk about Swerve and Okada here from Forbidden Door, since we're
well, I'm trying to think. So I'm like, you rate Collision first and talk about it? No, let's talk about the match first. No. Let's rate Collision first. Let's rate Collision first.
Okay, so for me, I think Collision this week, I really, really, really hated the War Dogs promo. It was almost bad enough to bring the whole thing down for me a little bit. I really didn't like the way Okada got involved in the way the main event ended. I thought it was a solid match until then. I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of the way they treated Mark Andrews and/or Isla Dawn in their home cities. And I'm still not totally sure. I really didn't like the Max Plas. I mean, I liked watching Zack Sabre Jr. beat Max Caster, even though I like Max Caster. I just thought the whole thing was a mess. I think this is a best to C. It could be a C minus, but I'll give it a C just to be. Yeah, I thought there. I mean, go ahead. Let's hear it.
I was gonna give it an A minus B plus. It's
I thought really the best redeeming thing on the show was Ishii and Ketchum. I thought that was really. I mean, the main event match was fine until Don Callis. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, you're doing the most.
I mean, other than that, we had two squash matches, a women's squash match and a men's squash match, and we had one decent women's match. I mean, I guess the opening was solid. With Takahashi, that was a solid match to open the show with Takahashi.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm still going with the C. So you're going B plus, and I'm going C. So we're a ways off on.
I'm trying I'm starting off an A minus, and then I don't understand what you're going for. No, like you said, the War Dogs. I do agree. That was a bad segment. Not because of what was being said, but more so I thought it just happened a year too late. Like, I could have definitely hyped this up earlier. I wasn't mad about the squash match between Aladon. Mark Andrews, I don't know you, so I don't. My rage is not up on 10 for that. And the main event was great. And Ishii versus Takeshita was great.
That's the only reason it's not getting the C minus.
And the women's match was good. And the women's match was good too with Willow and Queen Amanda. A minus. I don't know what you talking about. A minus.
She talked herself up a grade. I'm talking myself down a grade here. All right, so you go A minus. I'm still sticking at C. So Swerve and Okada from Forbidden Door. What'd you think?
I wanted you to go first because you keep with this. Okada's a lazy. No, Okada is pacing himself. He is a smart wrestler. In your 40s, you can't be doing 5-star matches on regular behind television. Like that's just a business decision. That is a business decision. But again, pay-per-view, when the lights go on, Okada is still the rainmaker. And he proved it against Swerve. I loved it. I love both of them. Did not think Swerve was gonna win. That was never a thing in my mind. Wardlow coming out. That happened. That was that was a thing. Sure. I'm sorry. The Wardlow making an impact on AEW. I think the ship has sailed. The ship has sailed. No offense. I don't care. Wardlow's here. I don't. And that being the reason Okada won. Boo. It was a great match. It's like, really? Wardlow? And then more so in the Callis family where y'all have already 10, 20 people already been up in John. But no, the match was great. But Wardlow, okay, that happened. But your thoughts?
There's nothing bad about Okada's style in the vacuum. I just don't care for it. I'm not a fan of the Randy Orton style, which is very similar. I'm not a fan of that slow, hyper methodical, make sure that, everything seems whatever. And to be fair, there are moments where he has bursts of speed that are a little bit different than some of those guys. The only person that I really like it in is Gunther, and I don't know why. I can't tell you why, but for some reason it doesn't affect me the same way with Gunther as it does with a lot of other guys.
Because Gunther is faster than the average bear. Honestly, he's like if you're comparing them people, Gunther's faster than all of y'all. Like, I think it's Okada, Gunther, and then Randy's just you slow for no reason.
I was disappointed here that Swerve didn't get the win. I mean, I don't know, looking at the match beforehand, how much I honestly thought he was going to win, but it is Swerve, and he's a major player in AEW, so I always kind of assume he's going to win. But again, it's Okada, so it's always when Okada's in the ring, it's always Okada's going to win too. So it was one of those where neither of these guys really loses, so I didn't know who was going to get the win. And Okada's had that belt now for a while, and it feels kind of held hostage. This was a good match. He's had a couple matches, but for the most part, I don't feel like he's done a whole lot for that title. I don't think Okada needs a title, and I don't think that's the right title if you put a title on Okada. So in that regard, I was hoping that it would be that Swerve would win that belt, but it is what it is. I mean, this is a way to solidify just how good Okada technically is, right? I mean, you get him a big win against someone like Swerve, who's at the top of his game and in the prime of his career right now, which Okada clearly isn't, and yet he's still good enough to beat Swerve. So I guess that tells you roughly how Tony Khan sees the two. I think it's a shame, but it is what it is.
And also, Swerve needed surgery as well. He hurt something, I think his ankle or something. It's like, if all y'all was hurt.
So there was a comment
about Will Ospreay a little bit more.
Swerve had an interview. Okay. I saw an article or an interview somewhere where Swerve was saying that He's been dealing with that meniscus tear for like 2 years now. He's been wrestling on a really bad knee for like 2 years, and this apparently was the time he's decided to finally have surgery, and so this was the way to write him off to have that surgery. Um, so I guess in that
Yeah.
regard, it's fine. I'm gonna miss Swerve. I don't. We'll see how long he's actually gone. But gonna miss him, that's for sure. And Wardlow coming back. This guy's review that I was using here as notes to not remind me, but just to go through the matches, says Wardlow coming back now makes the Callis family. It replaces the Callis family, or now the Callis family replaces the Death Riders as the biggest faction and the big bad faction in AEW. And I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that. I mean Wardlow's fine, but he doesn't move the needle like that for me. So it is what it is. Like you said, this is a couple years too late. When Wardlow was with with MJF, that was his hottest time. And when they split up, that was his, and they didn't really strike then. And then he was injured and was gone. And then he came back and was gone again, injured or not, whatever the case may be. And this last time he's been gone, which is like the third time I remember him being gone, I think, since he's been around, was for a long time. It feels like he's been gone for a while now. So, yeah, and I didn't care about him before. I still think he's very limited personality wise. I think he's very limited talking wise, and him coming back just doesn't do a whole lot for me. So I still think in sheer numbers, yes, the Don Callis family has more people, but I think as far as talented wrestlers go, I still think that the 3 or 4 in the Bullet Club are better than most of the. I think there's really only 2 what I would call
Death Riders.
Death Riders. That I would call, Takeshita. I mean, don't get me wrong, Josh Alexander is great, but they haven't positioned him like that. Trent Barrett is great, but they haven't positioned him like that. Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher are really the only 2 that they positioned in a way to be like the megastars. Those are definitely the 2 biggest members of the Don Callis family. And I think I'm gonna take a lot of heat for this. I already know you're gonna probably drop your jaw on everyone else if anyone else is listening. I think Wheeler Yuta is on the same level as both of those guys. So, and then you're talking about Claudio and John, who I think are better than both of those guys, or roughly around those guys. Maybe Wheeler Yuta is not as good as Takeshita. Maybe there's a bigger difference there than I'm giving it credit for. But I think it's closer between Kyle Fletcher and Wheeler Yuta than I think people think it probably is. So, for me, I think that there's a little more talent still in the Death Riders and than there is in the Callis family. But again, it is what it is. So yeah, I mean, I thought this match was fine. I'm disappointed that Swerve didn't get the win just because I don't like Okada, but it's fine. I mean, it was definitely, by the time it was done and the match was all over, I would put this somewhere, what was there? There was like 10 matches on the card. This is somewhere like, if I'm, giving them all, this was the number 1 match. This is number 2. This is number 2. This is about 5 or 6, somewhere in the middle. It definitely wasn't my least favorite, but it also wasn't my favorite. That's for sure. So that brings us to the end of our Collision review. Saturday.
Side note. The thoughts of ALW are a complete ALW. I do not think Uter is in the same park as Fletcher. Marcel the catch stuff.
Maybe not Takeshita. Maybe not Takeshita. Maybe that's a little unfair, but he's definitely closer to Kyle Fletcher maybe than he is to Takeshita. But I think he's not that far from either of them, honestly. I think if you let Wheeler Yuta off the leash and get him on his own, cut his hair and let him be Wheeler Yuta. I mean, maybe he lacks personality, so maybe that's what it is. But talent-wise, I think I think talent-wise, he's fine. I mean, wrestling-wise, I think he's fine. I don't think there's anyone there's no one that I see that I think is like, holy shit, he's way like, yeah, I mean, there's Will Ospreay that are the greatest, and I'm not putting him up to this, but I'm saying that are head and shoulders like Wheeler Yuta doesn't even belong in the same conversation. Like, I don't see many people that I think about that with. I think he's extremely solid in the ring. So, but you gave it a minus after talking yourself up a grade. I gave it a C for Collision for this week. So now we're going to move on to Dynamite from the following Wednesday. After this is the post Forbidden Door episode, and Miss Anika will take over.
Hey, there. So This is Don Callis. This is AW from August 27th, the post show to Forbidden Door. We are in the famous ECW Arena 2300.
For a while.
And to my knowledge, we're going to be there. Right. Yeah, we're actually going to be there for a minute. I'm not mad at it. I really am. I really am not. I actually like them being in these new arenas where it's more so like it looks like a club. More so than the arena. I know the arena, the feel of thousands of people, but I love the whole secret. This is where the spot's at. This is where the party's gonna jump off field. That's what it feels like when they go into these little theaters or stuff like that. So for to me, I actually absolutely loved it. So all gas, no brakes. We are going straight into it with FTR and Stokely making their way to the ring to address the foolishness that happened at Forbidden Door. As you like, so we'll talk about it after this. But as you all know, it was a three-way between Brodito, Brody King and Bandito, and the Hurt Syndicate versus FTR. Brodito got the win with assistance from Ricochet and against the Agony attacking Hurt Syndicate. It's about later, but sure, okay, fine. But yeah, FTR comes out and Dax gets into this face off with one of the fans, and it's like, what is going on here, sir? I love when fans really think they can hurt a wrestler. It's like, I'm not sure what was going through this man's mind. I'm like, sir, you don't even know this man. Why are we going shoulder to shoulders with a dude look like Yosemite Sam? He probably got the heat in his car right now as we speak. Let's all calm down. Besides that, they go to the ring, and Stokely has the mic, and here is Philly with the "shut the F up" chance. And I love Taz. No, welcome to Philly. He's like, yeah. But Stokely still perseveres. He's like, atrocity has happened at Forbidden Door. I know you all wanted to celebrate with us as we won the championship, but basically we have been targeted with a gross character of justice. Basically, they're like, here's FTR with their whole calculating tag team rules. They're like, the wrong person was pinned, so can we have the referee from the match come to the ring? He does. They're like, how long have you been refereeing? And he's like, for the past 20 years. So it's like, so how did you miss this? We want you to basically you need to correct your decision and take back the 1, 2, 3. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. And he's like, oh, so you're down there trying to intimidate the ref. And here comes Adam Copeland. You think you know him? Sorry, I have to do the whole thing. And so he goes towards the ramp. He's looking at FTR in the ring. He's looking back. He's like, where's Christian? Where's supposed to be here? But here, the Christian, still being a heel in the best way possible, he goes behind them to the ring and gives Stokely the unprettier, and he just after that he just looks at him. I'm like, I like Christian. I love him so much. And then here comes the brawl ensues, and then as the brawl ensues, the FTR and Stokely escapes towards the ring, and then and basically Adam Cooper was like, listen, I'm getting my pound of flesh. I'm sick of looking tired of you, and we're going to finish this at all out. And then Christian was like, and I know that Dax, you have a father. And Cash, you have a father. And Copeland is like, no, we're not doing this anymore. And the Finn's like, no, we want to hear the lie. And then Adam Copeland's like, you just sickos here. And Christian with that beautiful pause. And that bee is dead. And then here comes Dax and Cash trying to get through security, get back into the ring, and then like all out. in Canada, it will be FTR versus Christian and Adam Copeland. Listen, we all can agree that getting towards this place, getting towards this match has not been the smoothest transition. We could have done it a little bit more better, but we're here now, and it's everything I want it to be. It's everything I wanted to be. We all said Christian should still be Christian, and Adam Copeland should apologize or not apologize. And Christian like, shut up, I know what I'm doing. And so I love this whole thing. This was a great start to this show. Any thoughts?
I thought this was really, really good. I mean, for a bunch of guys that are definitely have less time in front of them than behind them, as far as wrestling probably goes. I thought they did a really good job of, um, keeping the energy up and coming across well. I like that Christian stays Christian. I love the line that bitch is dead. I thought that little interaction with Copeland saying, no, you're not going to do that, and then the fans wanting it, which does kind of make us all a little sick. But I wanted to hear the line too. I thought it worked out well, and I'm definitely interested in FTR versus, I guess they're CNC. I'm not sure about the CNC. I guess that's what they're going to be called, I suppose. But it's fine.
Like Copeland and Christian.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
No, I thought this was very good. I thought everybody was great. I loved Dax and them in the beginning with the referee. I thought that was great. You said we're talking, do you want to talk about the match while we're doing this too, from Forbidden Door? I mean, you mentioned it. You mentioned that Perdido won, but
let's talk about more so Christian and Copeland versus Luchasaurus and Kip Sabian. Let's do that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there was much, whatchamacallit. I figured that Christian and Copeland were going, or that CNC were going to get the win, and that's obviously what happened. I'm happy that Luchasaurus is back. I don't know exactly what, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Kip Sabian does nothing for me. And Mother Wayne, unfortunately, does nothing for me. With these three missing Nick Wayne, they're really down, especially because Luchasaurus doesn't really talk or do anything. He just comes in and looks tough, which is fine. In that regard, he's great. I love Luchasaurus. I just don't like him with Mother Wayne and Kip Sabian without Nick Wayne. And I'm not even sure with Nick Wayne that they have enough pull to be, without Christian, they're at a real disadvantage. So I think that faction probably isn't really long and isn't going to be around long. So we'll end up seeing what happens, but as you would assume, Christian and Copeland did get the win, as they should here. So they've handled, I guess, to a certain extent, they've handled Christian's problem for the moment because Nick Cage is out, or I'm sorry, Nick Wayne is out. Nick Cage, wow, that's a real faux pas because he pretended that Christian Cage was his dad for a while. So I didn't even mean to do that, but holy smokes. Nick Wayne, when he comes back, we'll see if Christian's really done with them, because I imagine not. But for the most part, it looks like maybe that's the end of that, and then we're going to move on to FTR and CNC, which I'm here for. I just wanted to comment real quick. I know because you comment. Did you want to talk about Brodito later, or can I comment about Brodito now? Later. Okay. So no, I mean, I think this match was everything it was supposed to be. For me, even though Christian and Copeland are a huge draw, unfortunately, Kip Sabian is not, and Luchasaurus is not enough to pull that team up. I thought that match probably should have been on the 0 hour, honestly. And there were a couple 0 hour matches that could have been on the main card in place of that. Again, you're not going to get that because Christian and Copeland are huge superstars, so they're not going to be relegated, more likely. But I thought that the Ops versus whatchamacallit belonged on the main card, and this could have been on the 0 board. That's just they could have easily swapped those matches, and I think it would have been fine. But yeah, I mean, there was no question here who was getting the win, and it was in a vacuum, it's fine. I don't think that they do much for me until Nick Wayne comes back. So now that this is over, and CNC is switching their attention to FTR, the battle of the acronyms, or the battle, battle of the initials. we'll see what kind of presence they have on TV at all until Nick Wayne comes back. It wouldn't surprise me if you don't see a whole lot of them until Nick Wayne's back and healthy, which is really unfortunate for Luchasaurus or Killswitch. So
yeah. No, I agree with you. More so the whole Luchasaurus thing. It's like he shouldn't be a bad guy. Like he was the one that was tormented by Christians. I would have loved if somewhere in the match they did like they flipped it and Christian said I'm sorry to Luchasaurus. I love that Christian ran away from Luchasaurus because as you should because you were tormenting him. But yeah, it was a very weird thing to be involved in because like we like Luchasaurus, but he's on the bad guy side. It was a good match to start off. I'll say that because more so the London crowd got on their feet and they were hyped for this match. I love the ending where I'm not sure what Christian and Adam Copeland's finisher was back in the day. I don't even know they had a finisher together besides the concerto. But yeah, Christian tossing Kip Sabian up for
the spear.
I would say Edge, screw it. Yeah, Edge doing the spear. I actually liked
it.
And then they did the whole.
It looked really cool.
It clapped, get together.
Thing. Yeah, I thought it looked really cool.
Yeah, it did. But like I said, now that that's over, on to the main event of FTR, and that should be a way better match. It should. It really should. Yeah. All right, ready? And then next up, our first match of tonight, we have. Well. First things first. After before that, we have Darby doing a promo, and this is his student video, cons festival esque promo where he stops being door. We'll talk about it later. He was in the Lights Out match, and Moxley with the town with a fork into Darby's ear because y'all need Jesus. I don't care if you don't believe it or not. You need him because what the frick is wrong with you two people? But besides that, so Darby said, you know what? I can use this as art. So he takes the bandage off of his ear and starts spelling all out on the wall. And while he's doing this, he says, you know, if a lot of people wanted me to die on the mountain. Sorry to disappoint you. I'm alive. I don't know what said no one wanted you to die on the mountain. I know Moxie said stay gone, but I don't think he said die on the mountain though, sir. Come here. You need a hug. Come here. Let me hold you. All right. Okay, fine. But then he was like, as walking down, I see all the bodies that were on there, and I just know that right now my life needs purpose. And it's time to take you out, John. So it'll be at All Out, and then when he finishes the All Out on the wall, it catches on fire. Sure. In the words of Adam Cole, vintage Darby. What is wrong with you, baby? You didn't have to do that. Like you could have just got a marker. I'm pretty sure you have an infection now. You gotta go back to the gift of antibiotics because you freaking unbandaged the freaking thing in your ear. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was the Lights Out match, right? That's what you. I mean, I thought, yeah. I mean,
more. First things first, the Darby promo.
Yeah, I mean, Darby's a solid promo. You know, I enjoy Darby. I think he's a solid promo. I mean, the extreme stuff for me, you know, I find it somewhat interesting, but that's not my favorite part about him. So, like, too much focus on that kind of stuff leaves me a hair dry. I prefer to just, you know, watch him in the ring and watch him do all the insane things that he does in the ring. But, you know, he's a solid talker and his promos are solid. So, you know, I thought that the promo itself was fine. The Lights Out match, other than the fact, I mean, Will was obviously already hurt and this was a way to write him off. But obviously the fact that Will Ospreay going away makes me very unhappy, you know, because Ospreay's probably at the very top of my list of active current wrestlers that are my favorite at the moment. So, you know, losing him for any significant amount of time is going to be tough. The match itself was fine. I mean, I'm glad that the good guys got the win again. I mean, at this point, I'm kind of glad that I don't watch New Japan because I don't need to see Tanahashi, who is clearly too old. to be doing what he's doing anymore. And in a multi-man match like that, you can protect him a hair more because he doesn't have to do quite so much. But even though a few things he does still look pretty shaky. So, like I said, the good guys got. It wasn't my favorite match of the night. This was the lights out match for Forbidden Door was probably a little bit lower down on my card just because I'm not like I don't have a problem with violence at all. I watch action films. I like UFC. I like, but I just when it's wrestling and I know that they're doing it in such a way that it's not. I don't want to use the F word because it's not fair to say that, but um, they do it in such a way that it's not technically real and it's happening in a way that doesn't necessarily for the most part really damage the guys. So for me it takes away from it to a certain extent. I mean, it's fun to see the spectacle, but it's like, yeah, I see what Moxley's doing and it looks pretty nasty, but there's some blood packet rigged back there. There's something, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not really cutting off his fucking ear. So it's like, it only holds so much water. I mean, Moxley might be psycho enough to cut somebody's ear off. Don't get me wrong. If there's anybody in AEW or in wrestling that's psycho enough to do it, it would be a John Moxley. But that being said, he didn't, I don't think that's what's really happening. And Darby Allin's probably the only guy in wrestling that would say, go ahead and cut my ear off. Like, please, for this regular show, go ahead and cut it off. But obviously that's not what's happening. So when it comes to those extreme death fights and those kind of matches, the spectacle is fun, but knowing that it's not technically real to a certain extent takes away from it for a little bit for me. So the lights out match definitely wasn't my favorite match of the show, but it was solid. Again, it was at the lower end of just my favorites list, but it was a very solid match. There wasn't anything on Forbidden Door that was bad. So in that regard, I mean, it did what it was supposed to do. I mean, and if you like those kind of matches, it was great. So
yeah, no, so
Darby
I enjoyed this.
Darby and Moxley at All In should be great. That I'm looking forward to.
And wait a minute, sweet Jesus. I'm back. All right, no, I'll even cheat the guy in my throat. But no, I enjoyed the match. I see why they kind of waited for Darby versus Moxley at All Out. More so, like, just knock the ring rust off of Darby. Where it's just like, this is the first time you're coming back. More so, this is your first match back. More so off of Mountain when you were injured. Well, you did after the Mountain, before you got hit by a bus. So it's like, yeah. So let's make sure you're good before we give you a one-on-one match. And Darby is off to the races. And man, he's a sicko. He is like hey, who wants to dive off a high freaking cage into four tables? I'll do it. And it's like, what is wrong with you, boy? And more so, Young Bucks in there was great. They masked Tanahashi well. And yeah, there we go. Look, okay, whatever. All right. So let's talk about Will freaking Ospreay. Okay. Now, first things first. I'm not sure what conversation he had with TK, but he definitely has this presence of he knows he's important. Now I get that you but I don't need you to. When I say this, it's like we all know you're important to this, but you don't have to act like you're important. More so the whole giving us an injury update and going into surgery. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it until they said he actually did it. And then the stupid promo before he walked down the ramp with your stupid wife doing it. I didn't know it was gonna come our way, but we'll face it together. I love you, Billy. I'm like, ain't nobody asked for that. Ain't nobody asked for that. Honestly, y'all could have lost effort. Y'all could have lost it All in Texas, and you and Swerve with your broken foot, your broken neck could have just went to surgery right afterwards. But more so, I
love the change in heart. Like 3 months ago, you were like the biggest Ospreay person, but now his wife is in the picture, and you're like, I don't want nothing to do with him no more. He can kick rocks now because his wife.
I didn't say I didn't want nothing to do with him, but you're grandstanding like you're the most important person in the room. Boo! Boo! And then your wife doing I love you, Billy. You could have done that on a freaking phone. You could have told him on the phone, and you didn't have to use that in promo. We all hear your private thoughts with your wife. That's all I'm saying. Anybody want to hear that? This is a wrestling show. Anybody want to hear that?
If it was in the place of Alex Windsor, you'd love doing it on national TV.
Nobody where you did no. I am a behind the scenes chick. I will call you on the phone and I'll be mad that you used the voice call for your promo. That's who I am. No. Either way, no, I really didn't believe. I did not believe that he was going to be off. Because more so, in my mind, you compare it to Cody Rhodes, where he had the broken titty, where like, the purple titty, when he was in the cage with Seth Rollins, once he took that robe off, it's like, oh, it's right there. Oh, you're effed up. Oh, why are you doing this match?
Right.
With a neck injury, you don't know the severity of it because there's no bruise. So like you're like, oh, if he's doing this, even though it's called a life out match, if you're doing this match, we know you should be good, right? And so, but evidently he's not. So please heal up, get well. You will be missed. And then the end of the, and then listen, I'm a sicko. That's why Darby and Moxley are my favorite people. At the end of the match, and okay, that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. I'm like, in my mind, if Swerve and Ospreay are this hurt, why did they win at All In? Like y'all should have just lost to the EVPs. And I have two answers to that. Number one, I do love the downward spiral of the Young Bucks. I do love that, and more so them coming out. They're like they requested their original music, and they gave them the throwback to the Hanson doo bop bop doo. That was worth the price of admission. And then freaking Omega just being silly. Do you have that? Like someone keep Omega by himself someplace. He don't need to be by himself. And then secondly, I know that Ospreay probably was like, I'm going to all like it's Ben Doors in London. He probably like, I don't want to miss that. So at least before I leave, let me do this match and be out. So I understand that. And then the end, but like again, you just grandstanding after the match is done, and I'm like, listen, I'm not this. And then the Death Riders heard me, and they're like, beat this crackhead up. Yeah, beat him up. Ain't gonna be no. You gonna be in the ring for this freaking long, saying bye bye. No, we're gonna whoop you behind. I love that. Now the only thing was, you have because the ops come and help out during the match, and so they close the door. Marina climbs over the cage. I needed the good guys to fight more to help Ospreay. Y'all just standing there and letting him get hit behind whoops. I'm like, y'all could have done something. Y'all could have ran to the other side. I needed more of an effort to try to help Will. I because you like four freaking Death Valley drivers. I'm like, that okay, y'all not gonna help. If Marie can climb the cage, I know one of y'all crackheads emotionally can climb the cage and help Will. That was my thing. But I'm like, yeah, he grandstand too much. Knock him out. And then put the chair around his neck. They step on it, and it's official. They write him off. Will Ospreay will be out right now indefinitely, right? And so I loved all of that, and that was a good send off. I just need the good guys to help out more. Like, can y'all help? Can y'all try a little bit harder to get to Will? That's just me. But no, in my mind, I loved all of it. That was a good match.
That was kind of odd about the Will Ospreay stuff. Is just that I've got to imagine you knew that Will Ospreay was wrestling at Forbidden Door when he came out a month and a half ago and gave that, or 2 months ago, and gave that little "I'm injured" speech. I'm going to be gone for a minute. It was only gone for like 2 weeks. You knew before that he was injured because he's been injured for a while. This is a long-term injury that he's been dealing with. It didn't happen at Forbidden Door. So you came out, you said you were going to be gone for a minute. You weren't gone for a minute. You were gone for like one episode of Dynamite, came back, you appeared like maybe you were okay. Then you had the lights out match and now you're gone again. Like, the whole thing is very odd to me. Like, just the way they chose to do that seems like an odd progression of things. Back to why you even say anything in the beginning if you're not going to be gone longer And that, when you make that promo, like the whole thing is weird. Like that promo really only makes sense a month and a half ago if it leads to somehow you missing Forbidden Door. Otherwise, it doesn't really
Yes.
make much sense. Just pretend like he's fine all the way through Forbidden Door and let him appear to get injured in Forbidden Door and go out. Like, I mean, I don't. The whole thing is weird.
Yes.
I don't know. The only thing that I could think of is
No.
that the injury got re-aggravated or something in Forbidden Door. But either way, I think he was planning on taking time off. That's why he gave the statement in the first place. Even though it only lasted 2 weeks, that's why he gave the statement in the first place.
Yeah. No. I really think they weren't sure the severity of it, and they probably was telling Will, "You don't have to do this." And Will, and this is more so to Osprey. He was like, "I want to finish the Death Star story, which was at All In against Heyman. I'm pretty sure he wanted to finish that." And London, I'm pretty sure he was like, "Listen, if I can just do these 2 shows, I'm good." And as you can see, he didn't really do any more matches. Like, so he was like, "Let me just rest up. Let me do these 2 big time pay-per-views and I'm out." I somewhat understand that. I do. But yeah, the whole interview, the whole promo of him telling us that his neck is out, but he'll be back at Forbidden Door. Y'all could have kept that. Y'all could have kept this. Would have gone a little bit more smoothly if y'all would have kept that.
No doubt.
I'm in control. Sorry. So now we have our official first match. It is Moxley versus Daniel Garcia. And maybe it's just me. I'm a story person. I was perturbed. I'm like, so Moxley takes out Will Ospreay with a chair, and nobody want revenge. Nobody gonna come out and say, nobody try to put behind for doing that. Nobody gonna try to step to Moxley. No, we're just gonna do a match like that didn't happen. Okay, fine. Like when he kicked the crap out of Brian Danielson, everybody's up in arms about to slice Moxley's head off. But Will Ospreay, he can't get that love. Okay, cool, understandable. It's fine. We'll just go to the match. It's cool. But this match was great. This match was really good. It is something like someone has to explain to me why it is so hard to be a champion than just a wrestler. Because it feels like as soon as Moxley gets the belt off of him and he's just wrestling, he's infinitely more entertaining and he's infinitely having better match. It's like, why couldn't we have this when you had the belt on you? I don't understand. But it was so freaking good. Daniel Garcia in the ring, pound for pound, he's a very good competitor. Daddy Magic came out to assist, to help him out, look out for the other Death Riders, which was fine. In the end, Moxley gets it from a roll up, which is actually very good on like crazy enough. We're trying to protect Garcia, which was, I'm not gonna say I'm not mad at it. I'm like, okay, that's what you want to do, cool. If this what you want to do, that's on you. Go ahead, go for it. And I love that, like even after the match, and Moxley was like, this close, like yeah, not this close. So a little bit of I go to the end. The end, you have Moxley like Daniel Garcia is dejected. He's like, I just lost again, and we have Moxley trying to comfort Garcia and like he's trying to kiss him, and Daddy's like, hey, back off, like no. And Moxley's like, listen, no, he good. They might be trying to recruit Garcia. I'm not mad at it. In 2023, we weren't doing this for half a freaking year with Danielson. Like we already did this we already done this story with Jericho and Danielson fighting for Garcia's love. Now we're going to do it with Daddy Magic and Moxley fighting to get him inside the club. It is what it is. If they want, like, listen, if you're trying to compete with the Callis family, get more people, fine. But more so, let it be a definitive yes or no. I think the reason why it sucked with Danielson and Jericho, it wasn't really a definitive, I'm going with you or you. It just, the story just stopped. So y'all just, like, if you just give an actual answer, he's actually with the group or not, then that'll be better. But overall, a great first match for the night. Your thoughts?
One of these things is not like the other. Daniel Garcia sucks. No, I'm just kidding. He doesn't suck. He doesn't really suck. Here's the thing. He's so the booking of him is so up and down. Like it feels like there are times where he gets pushed, and then there are times where
Yeah.
it's like he just is gonna be the mid card guy that he is. Like, unfortunately, Matt Menard, as fun as he is, as hard as he makes my nipples, um,
Yeah. What?
how he always talks about his nipples being hard. So I was just making a
But
joke
you
about.
don't say that. What's wrong with you?
Um, he does not. He's fun, but he's not even mid card at the moment, right? I mean, he doesn't even really wrestle. So,
He's a commentator,
the
right?
association with him is what it is. He doesn't do anything to raise Daniel Garcia's profile. Um, I do tend to agree that when John Moxley doesn't have a belt, the wrestler comes out more than like the champion fighter guy that he thinks he has to be when he has the belt, or that Tony Khan wants him to be. I don't know who's calling it in the back, but he does seem to wrestle more when he doesn't have the belt. That being said, you know, in no universe in my mind, there's no universe where Daniel Garcia lasts 13 minutes with John Moxley. There simply isn't. John Moxley has been perhaps one of the 2 or 3 greatest wrestlers in the world for the last 3 to 5 years, and Daniel Garcia is at best a top of the mid card guy. So the fact that he had that much offense here, I mean, I guess good for Daniel Garcia in a vacuum. It just doesn't make any sense. And bad on John Moxley and Tony Khan for thinking that they had to make. I think this makes Moxley look kind of weak, honestly, when it really boils down to it. I mean, especially after losing, he should be not squashing, but beating Daniel Garcia. You know, I'm John Moxley. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand. And, yes, if you want to recruit guys because you want the Death Riders to be, close more guys to the Callis family because Callis family keeps stacking up guys. I guess it gives Daniel Garcia something to do. It doesn't move the needle for me a whole lot as far as adding him to I still think, if you're talking about the weaker end, he's definitely the weakest end then of the 2 groups by far. I mean, even Rocky Romero, I think, is probably better when it really boils down to it than Daniel Garcia. Maybe not now because he's a little bit
Yeah,
older and whatever.
do it.
Maybe he's a little bit older now, but he's definitely a better talker. He's got more personality. He's much more fun to watch. I don't even enjoy really watching Daniel Garcia. I mean, the dance is okay, but beyond that, I'm not a big fan. And beating, and then I the small package is fine, but John Moxley needs to be beating Daniel Garcia more definitively than this, especially after losing the title. So in that regard, it is what it is. I mean, okay. I just think that Moxley should be doing more, and I guess we'll see what Daniel Garcia does. I don't know. I feel like for like a week, Daniel Garcia gets pushed really hard. So here's the thing: if you're going to have Daniel Garcia be in a match with John Moxley, why did you not have him beat Nigel and be in the match with Zack Sabre Jr.? It feels weird. Like it feels weird to have him lose that match, not have anything in
Oh no,
Forbidden Door, and then show up and wrestle John Moxley on Dynamite.
that is weird.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, why do you get that
Yeah.
spot? You
No.
just lost. I mean, why do you get this spot? And why do you get to take John Moxley to 15 minutes? That doesn't make any sense. For 13, 14 minutes. I don't. So, okay.
Yeah. Real quick, let's talk about the Nigel McGuinness versus Zack Sabre Jr. match with Daniel Garcia in his corner. This was again a Guy Ritchie-esque match, and I loved every little minute of. For like grappling is not one of my favorite things with wrestling, where it's like, oh, I want to watch it because they're gonna do some holds and it's gonna be an Olympic-esque match. That is not my cup of tea. But Zack Sabre Jr., he just does it so nicely, where it's like, okay, I watch it. I love the opening. So that comes out, and we're in London, so big pop. And then Nigel comes out. I love Nigel because before that, he to hype himself up. He's not in a gym in the ring with blood, with sweat and tears, and he's trying to fight hard. No, he's in the park with one of the most one of the first finessing grapplers of all time. I'm not sure what his name is. David something.
Yeah, I forget his name right now, but yeah.
But yes, and so they're in the park and they're playing chess, and he and the ultimate gentleman is just telling, and it was lovely, telling telling Nigel how to be this one step further than your other opponents. He's like, I enjoy this. This really helps a lot. I'm like, this is so English, but I love it. This is probably the most English thing y'all have done to promote a match ever, and I loved every little bit of it. The match starts, and like I said, Zack Sabre Jr. is a revelation. I am very happy to see him wrestle. Crazy enough, and like the commentary table. Oh, and then Bryan Danielson was on commentary. That's just what he's the perfect person for this match. And they're like Nigel is very methodical. He knows every move he wants to make, while Zack Sabre Jr. is all jazz. He just goes with the flow and just improvise, and it was really, really good. One of the great spots was Nigel was posturing, and Zack tried to go run behind him, and he did a bang clothesline. Like, Dad, you didn't have to do that to that boy. And the finish was a little quick. I wanted a more demonstrative, like, tap out or 1, 2, 3. I'm not sure what I wanted, but what they gave me was a little bit too quick. But more so, it was very good. Garcia was on the edge, being really pestering. I mean, this where like I thought he was going to turn heel, but he does it, and it's like, huh? So why was he out here, bro? Like you said, that's why I completely understand with the whole after that going against Moxley and losing. It really is like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Because after the match, Garcia stops Nigel, and he raises his hand, and it's like, what? Huh? What was the purpose of Garcia being outside the ring if he's not going to turn heel? But all in all, that was a very tasty match for Forbidden Door. It really was. ALW, if you're there, your thoughts?
So this was okay. So I'm going to say several things here. So this was on paper, the match I was most excited for. I'm a huge Nigel McGuinness fan. I love Zack Sabre Jr. and technical wrestling is where my heart is. Unfortunately, a lot of times technical wrestling I don't think, get the that it deserves, because it can look slow and boring, which is interesting because I complain about slow and boring wrestlers. But it's not, to me, it's different. Like, there's a difference between whatever. Like, unfortunately, this match did remind me that I'm very fickle. It really is about the people that I like, and I guess I just really don't like Okada, because Nigel McGuinness is very slow as well, and it doesn't bother me. I love Nigel. There's something about it that feels like it's right for him. So I guess it's really just about who I like at the moment or who don't like at the moment, because Nigel's very slow. That being said, I thought this was perfect. When it was over and done with, for me, favorite, not best match of the night, favorite match of the night, just because it has two guys that I absolutely love doing something that is my favorite type of wrestling. And you get to see Zack Sabre Jr., who, barring Bryan Danielson, is probably the best in the world at the moment at that kind of wrestling. So, and Nigel is extremely technical as well. I love to see Nigel wrestling again. That being said, I'm not sure I need to see it a third time. I think it's been fine the 2 times, but I don't know that I need to see it a third time. I was hesitant about seeing it a second time, even though I knew that Zack Sabre Jr. and Nigel were going to have a good match. I was hesitant about seeing it a second time, just because he's so whatever, and it's been a long time and all those things. So I don't know that this, as much as I enjoyed it and I getting to see him wrestle again, I don't know that I need to see it a third time with anybody else. So I kind of hope that this is the last Nigel match we have to see, unless we get one more against Bryan Danielson at some point. Other than that, I don't need to see another Nigel match. And even then, I probably don't even need that. But that's the only one that would move the needle for me again. But that being said, this was phenomenal. And again, this was number one on my favorite match of the night list for Forbidden Door. Not the best match of the night, but my favorite match of the night.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And I think Nigel agreed too that, like, even though he's in great shape, his matches should mean something. It shouldn't be just some frivolous, I'm going up against
right, Daniel Garcia when he turns heel on him.
I didn't see that has a reason. I was trying to say, find someone else to say before you said it. All right. So with all this, Yuta's in the ring with the mic, and Yuta Sorry. Let me just stretch for a little bit. Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Yeah. So Yuta's in the ring with the mic, and he graciously or ungraciously, no, he totally did not graciously turn down Darby Allin's challenge to John Moxley on behalf of Moxley, and he was just like, and then local town, he like, I'm so glad I got out of here. I'm from Philly, but y'all didn't teach me anything. This place stinks. Blah blah blah. And here comes the H in the sky. It's Hook. Side note: what do you think about Hook's new theme music? It is very 1950s Rat Pack. It doesn't suck, but it doesn't have the energy of the last Hook theme song. So it's like it's gonna get very used to like the other one. It was just like, okay, here's Hook. This one it's fine for a vignette or a promo, but I don't think this should be his theme music. But your thoughts?
I'm sorry. What was the last thing you said?
Oh, I was like, what do you think about Hook's new theme music? It's fine. It like doesn't suck, but it
Yeah, I
doesn't
mean, to
feel
be
like
honest
Hook
with you, like
to me.
so unless it's something that is, and I don't even know, I don't know what it is, but it's got to be something for me to even notice really the music. And so I didn't. I mean, I noticed that there was music playing, and I thought it's been so long since I've seen it. I thought this sounds a little different, but I don't really remember what his original music was before this. So like, I couldn't really comment on.
It
I'd
was
have to
a
go back
hard,
and listen
yeah.
to it again because I wasn't. I thought the music itself was fine, and I thought it sounded different, but I couldn't really remember what the other one was, so I didn't. Yeah, I mean, it's
You
fine.
don't even know.
Yeah,
All right, and then so yeah, so Hook is back, and we're in Philadelphia, Taz's home, Russelltown, and so he puts the red rum, or sorry, did he call it red rum?
Red Rum.
Hold
Yep,
on. He puts the red rum on Yuta and suplex, and yay, Hook is back. Great decision to bring him back in Philly. Great decision to make him attack Yuta. Like we all said, just a matter of the follow up. Hopefully, the follow up is way better. Hopefully, they have a program for him, not just him just coming out and beating up people. Cause there's still promise there. There's still promise. So we just gotta strike while the iron is somewhat hot. Any thoughts on Hook coming back?
I, I mean, I think that for me, there's a lot of comparisons between Hook and Yuta. So I like that there's kind of this whatever.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if there's any real actual connection to explain why he came out and attacked them per se. Other than just
Well, they're in Philly, and he was down in Philly,
no, no. I mean, I know
and
that. I
Philly's the
just
home of
as opposed to
ECW.
somebody else, But
Oh,
but it is what it is. I think if the goal is to have potentially a Yuta and Hook feud, that feels very good to me. I think they're on
yeah,
roughly the same level booking wise in Tony Khan's mind. I think Wheeler Yuta's up here developmental wise as far as his ability from Hook at the moment. But I think that they booking wise they're on the same level. So that makes sense to me. That's a guy that Hook would go after. I mean, he's overmatched against Claudio or Moxley, right? That's the reality of the situation.
yes,
So if you're going to attack somebody from the Desert Riders, it's got to be Yuta, right? You can't attack Marina. So and Pac's not around, so
yes,
it's got to be Yuta if that's your goal. So that's why it makes sense. Yuta versus Hook is okay what it is, and we'll see. Hopefully Hook is in his time off, was able to increase a little bit or do some things that I think will raise his profile in my mind. I know that a lot of people think he's done fine and that his progression has been fine. I feel like for a while he plateaued and wasn't doing a whole lot of progressing. Um, but then it looked like he was, and then he got injured or was out. So we'll see where he's at now. But I'm definitely on board for it. He did use a Superman punch, which I thought was kind of interesting. That looked like a little bit of a new repertoire after the Red Rum. So he did the Red Rum, the suplex, and Superman punch, which that seemed new to his repertoire. So that's good. I was getting a little tired of the judo throws, lots of hip tosses, lots of, just kind of judo throws and what felt like
yeah,
rudimentary wrestling moves to a certain extent with Hook in the ring. Did them well, but just like not enough offensive arsenal. So we'll see. But I'm here for it. Yeah.
all right. And next we have the Golden MJF promo after a what do you call it? after a pay-per-view, which I don't mind, and that it hasn't gone old yet, and MJF always knocks it out of the park. This was no different. And so he says, "All right, you want to hear the MJF promo, the famous MJF promo?" He's like, "You want me to just be here and be cocky?" And like, I can't be. All this did was the fans proved my point. I'm bleeding buckets, and you chant you deserve it. Hangman bleed buckets. You say cowboy. He's like, I had to match one, two, three. Just, but you're not saying how you had it one, two, three. You cheated. But here comes Mark Briscoe to call it off. You chant, you deserve it. I get this contract hit into my skull, and y'all cheer for Hangman. Like the way I'm treated in this company, I am a generational talent. And no, and now the rules have changed. Where now I have to cash this in within a week. Well, guess what? I'm going to cash this in, and I'm going to get back my triple B. But not only triple B, I'm going to get Hangman's soul. And and there's not a doggone thing you can do about it. I'm better than you. And Mark Briscoe, I'm going to hurt you. Listen, only an hour and 50 minutes. Sometimes you really don't need a long time to get your point across. And this is a very great way to explain that, because he did a great, phenomenal job. So I just wanted to explain to me further this whole contract thing. So the casino gauntlet is a great match, but the reward of winning the match has not gone through yet. Unfortunately, everyone who's won their title shot has not won a belt. I think it's time someone wins the belt off of this. That's just me. But TK put a time limit on it, where it's like you have 7 days after to use your contract, and so it's like, so what does that mean? MJF's gonna cash it in next Dynamite? Someone please explain to me what's going on. But promo wise, it was a great promo, and evidently Briscoe and MJF aren't done, and I'm not mad at that. That can still go on. That'd be really, really good. And of course, eventually we'll get Hangman versus MJF again. Again, not sure when though, because I'm confused. I'm really embarrassed to say it. I'm confused. If someone could help me out. But your thoughts on the promo and the whole thing, and then after this, we'll talk about the match.
No help on the confusion, because it doesn't make any sense to me. So, you have an opportunity, you have an open opportunity at a title shot whenever you want it, but now I'm going to say you have to use it in the next 7 days. After you accidentally, not accidentally, after we scripted the fact that you were going to give it up to Hangman, accidentally in a promo because you got over, zealous, and then you decide to backtrack so that you still have the contract, but then you have to use it within what? The whole thing makes no sense. So in that regard, that's terrible booking on Tony Khan's part. It's really, really bad booking. It's bad storytelling. This promo's fine. MJF is always going to give a good promo. This is, it's right in that same wheelhouse. It's always solid. So yeah, what are we doing with the whole contract? The whole thing is bizarre. So he's going to beat Hangman Page in 7 days. He's going to end up cashing it in and losing, I guess. So then what was the point of not just having it all be one match at Forbidden Door? Like, why have 2 matches where MJF loses? It only makes sense for you to give him the stupid contract back if at some point he uses it to win. If he doesn't use it to win, then it makes no fucking sense, especially not 7 days later. So I don't. And on top of it, it's always bad booking when you change things on the fly. So like at this point, you just have an open opportunity, but now all of a sudden you have to do it in 7 days. It's like, well, what are we doing? Like that's always poor planning. So, or poor storytelling.
So the 7 day thing is crazy, but I think they went back and forth with the whole getting rid of the contract thing. I think when they found out that Swerve and Hangman were going to be out, they're like, oh, we need someone else to go against Swerve and Ospreay is going to be out for a minute. I think that went into consideration of the whole contract thing and running it back. Even though I think we all understood y'all should definitely run this back. So I'm not sure why. Yeah, it was very much convoluted, but I really think that them two going into surgery They're like, all right, you need a contract. Like, give back, give back, give back, give back, give back, give back. Yeah. So like the whole thing was crazy, but I understand
Here's the thing: if they're going to be
why they brought back the contract.
both of them basically have just now left after Forbidden Door. So this is when both of their hiatuses start, and now you've given MJF 7 days to cash in that. So clearly you've got another plan after that 7 days for Hangman, because these guys are going to be gone for a lot longer than 7 days. So if MJF is your plan to take place for those two, then now why are you doing it in 7 days? I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like that makes even less for the 7 day part. Like I don't.
No. So, like I said, the Diamond before Heyman getting his contract. I'm sorry, MJF getting his contract back makes sense.
Right.
But
Yeah.
putting a time limit on it, that
doesn't make any sense.
I don't know what's going on with
I
that.
agree.
But they'll figure it out.
You want to talk real quickly, because I know we've been long in the tooth with the extra stuff, but you want to talk MJF Hangman from Forbidden Door just real quick?
Real quick, crazy match. It was good because Hangman and MJF are good. The whole stipulation, listen, MJF is carny as hell. And I think we all have to realize that he is a generational talent. He is very much so good. But he loves the older stipulations of older year, and I think someone has to tell him that doesn't work for every match, because more so the whole no disqualification, you can win by count out, title will change hands no matter what. That whole thing, it was too hard to chew for the ending. Whereas like it was just like just make it a one match, and just like this has to demand you get to use your contract again. But besides the ending, it was a good match. It was a great match. Understand why it wasn't lights out, Ospreys in London, but it was a very good championship match in all Forbidden Door. But you're fine.
I mean, unfortunately, I thought the winner was predictable. I just wanted to see how it came out, especially because the MJF had just gotten that contract back. So it was like, okay, he's going to lose this one, and then he'll have the contract to use for a second one and win it down the road. But so in that regard, it was predictable that Hangman won. But they still do what they do, right? Both of them are solid wrestlers. They gave it their all. They put on a show. I thought it was a very solid match. I understand, I guess, because of Osprey being in whatever, and the people that are in it, I guess the lights out matchmaking being the main event makes sense. But this could have been the main event, even with the MJF stuff. This could have been the main event. I thought it was that good. So yeah, I enjoyed every part of this. I mean, the only thing I don't like about it is just some of the storytelling around it and the contract and that kind of stuff. The stipulation stuff, like you said, is carny as hell, but it's perfect MJF. I just don't understand why everyone keeps letting him get what he wants. Like he doesn't even do a whole lot to get it a lot of times. Like it's so okay, it is what it is. I mean, but in that regard, I thought the match itself was phenomenal. So just make the storyline with the stuff with the contract make more sense, be more succinct.
Agreed. All right, now we have our second match of the night. We have Harley and Chris Statlander versus Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. This was great. This was really, really good. Let's keep reminding ourselves that Harley has only been doing this for 3 years. So her still being green, she's doing a phenomenal job. Crazy enough, Chris Statlander does a submission to Penelope Ford and gets the submission and gets the win for the team. That was a little shocking. I'll say that, like I said, they've been pushing Megan Bayne, but Megan Bayne didn't tap out. Penelope Ford tapped out. That makes more sense. After the match, Megan Bayne's pissed, so she's beating up Statlander and Harley Cameron, and here comes Willow for the save. I love this. Of course, a little more on our screen. We get the whole heated face off between Statlander and Willow, but Harley comes in like, no, we both, yes, friendship. Basically, will Harley be the glue to get Statlander and Willow back together? Who knows? But very good match for a women's match. Your thoughts?
Solid. I mean, I'm a huge Harley Cameron fan, and Chris Statlander is what she is. Megan Bayne, they've been pushing her, and she's great. And Penelope Ford has been better. I mean, I'm not a Penelope Ford fan, but I think she's been better with Megan Bayne. Her and Megan Bayne work well together.
Oh yeah.
So in that regard, it's fine. And I'm here for, uh, I'm glad that Harley and Chris got the win. But anytime Megan Bayne takes a loss, I find it interesting how they end up doing that. But they've done it well,
Yes.
just because she is so big and strong, and the way they project her and book her, it's like how could she lose? But when she does, they've done a good job, and they did a decent job here for overall for what it was. And I Willow and Statlander, they've obviously circled each other for a while in many different iterations, friends at times, enemies at times, and we've talked on here about how when you don't have anything to do for either of them, just kind of stick them together. So I guess we'll end up seeing what becomes of this again, but maybe they could be reconnected through Harley Cameron. I guess for me, my favorite, other than Willow, Harley Cameron's my favorite of the bunch here, and I'll watch anything with Harley Cameron.
Yes.
So at the moment, so that was solid.
No. Absolutely great. Reunited again. Don't know where it was in the card, but I'll just put it here. We have a backstage video packet with Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa and Athena and Billy. Of course, Athena's pissed because she didn't win it all out. Sorry, she didn't win at Forbidden Door. Boo. But we do have Death Before Dishonor, which was last night. And so her opponent for that for ROH was Mina. And so they're both battling and telling each other how they're going to win. And uh Tony Storm is there to hype up Mina because her friend. I'm not sure what she said, but I know that at the end, her and Maria do the whole two kisses and that, which was fun. Uh, any thoughts? And more so, we can just go into Athena versus Tony Storm. That's why I put it up.
Yeah, no, I mean, not really any thoughts. I mean, it is what it is. The match itself at Forbidden Door, I thought was phenomenal. Athena and Tony Storm, I thought they killed it. It was definitely, I think it was it was either the best or the second best match of the night, in my opinion, I thought. Um, and, it gives me a lot of hope for what they do next. I'm assuming there'll be something more to come, obviously. So we'll see what
No.
that looks like next. I don't know how much more they have because it felt like they left a lot out of the ring at Forbidden Door and showed a lot,
Yeah.
but hopefully they left a little bit in the tank. And no, I mean, I'm not upset with Tony Storm getting the win when it really boils down to it. At Forbidden Door, I think I think Athena, even though I think Ring of Honor is probably below her, what she's done with the Ring of Honor Women's Championship has definitely raised the profile of that title, which is good. And her being the Ring of Honor Forever champion, I think in some respects has raised her profile. Two, it's given her something to kind of, gloat about. But she's really ready for the next level. I don't know if that means beating Tony Storm for the title, but she's really ready for the next level and to be, the next step up as far as a TBS or AEW World Champion. So we'll see if that happens. Obviously, she's circling the World Championship at the moment, so it's more likely at the rate that we're going that it would be that title than the TBS title. But I even though I think that Athena and Tony Storm worked great at Forbidden Door for me, I still think the money's on Athena and Mercedes. As far as like the feud that I really
Yeah.
want to see. So we'll end up seeing what happens here. I suppose if Athena can't beat Tony for the world championship, she could always turn her attention to Mercedes Monet. I don't know why you think if you can't beat Tony Storm, you can beat Mercedes Monet. But again, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I think she needs to be ultimately holding one of those two titles within the next years. That's my feeling on it. So
Yeah. No. This was a great match. I had hoped that Athena wins because Athena is great, and right now, and she didn't. So my hope of her staying on my Dynamite Collision television is very not like it's very short. Cause I'm like, just don't leave, please don't leave, Athena. Don't go back behind the paywall of Forbidden Door. I mean, of ROH, please. But no, it was a great match, and Tony Storm is crazy. Her entrance with her big gray wig and her tutu coming out, like basically a more so a parody of Elton John was crazy, but no, I loved it. It was very much so fun. Athena is that chick. Tony Storm is still great, but the thing about it is she's beating everybody. So who dethrones Tony? Like that really is the question now. Who, you don't really have anyone in position to dethrone Tony, and the person they're selected, I don't care. Like I know Megan Bain is your glamazon, whatever you want to call her, but I don't care if she dethrones Tony. I don't think it's a good choice, but it feels like that's where they might be heading. But yeah, no, great matchup for Forbidden Door. All right, and so next up, we have a Mercedes Moné in-ring segment. CEO. She did win at Forbidden Door, as I already said, against Bozilla and Persephone and Alex Windsor. She comes in and is like, Philadelphia, say hello to your CEO. And basically, some of Forbidden Door and how none of those girls go hold a candle to her Bozilla, and it's like, calm down. And then she gets to and she's like, listen, she is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. She has 9 titles on her that she's holding, which is really insane. And she's like, she wants to beat Ultimo Dragon's record. All right, cool. And we are going to get her versus Alex Windsor 101, which should have been at Forbidden Door, but I don't mind it because Bozilla was great and Persephone was great. But we are going to get that match sooner than later of her versus Windsor 101. This was fine. I didn't need this in front of a crowd. This could have been behind stage. But nonetheless, it wasn't anything egregiously bad about it. But it really was like, okay, cool, fine. Any thoughts on this promo segment or this interview segment in ring AOW? So the hair business, all right, cool. But yeah, more so with
sorry,
it's crazy.
I am here. Sorry, I apologize. I didn't mean to be muted.
No, you're fine. But yeah,
no,
any thoughts on the Mercedes Moné?
Yeah, obviously Mercedes is always a solid promo. I agree with you. Probably didn't need this much time in the ring for this. But she's one of your superstars and she's a solid promo, and they like to get her on TV, so this gets her on TV. But yeah, as far as needing it here in this Dynamite at this point, probably not. That being said, you always need more women representation on TV, so this gives you another, at least a bit of a women's segment to a certain extent. And yeah, I'm here for at this point basically anything Mercedes does. But I understand what you're saying, that it could have been video and or something else backstage. It didn't necessarily need to be in the ring, especially not if you're not going to have, for me, the ring promos should be exclusive to something happening, someone coming down, a brawl, something more than just one person talking, because you could do that anywhere, right? So why do you have to do that in the middle of the ring? I don't want it to be predictable that every time there's an in-ring promo, someone's going to come down. But at the same time, it feels like it should be kept for that kind of a situation.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I totally agree about that. Like, at least have Alex Windsor come out and say, "You still haven't beat me 101. Let's do it." Something like that.
Right, exactly.
Right. And then we have our party match of Bandito and Jet Speed versus the Don Callis family of Josh Alexander, Okada, Takeshita, and wait. Sarah, yeah. And of course, this was a great party match, as you would think. I love the tension between Okada and Takeshita. We were supposed to do this either earlier this year or last year, and I'm glad no one forgot. I'm like, please don't forget this match, because this was when Okada came out. When Okada came back, this is what we wanted. And even though y'all technically both part of the Callis family, This is what we want. We want this back. I don't care. I don't care how you do it. I don't care how. Unless you're. Let this match happen. Let this match happen, please and thank you. But no, great match all in all. It's my election. I'm sorry, I'm old. The good guy. Yeah, Josh Alexander actually won for Kyle's family. Cool. Any thoughts on this match and the tension between Okada and Takeshita?
The tension between Takada and Okeshita is interesting. I think that it makes sense because Okada is and has been a huge deal in New Japan and in general. And now Takeshita seems to be the guy that's kind of taking over, becoming the new big deal, especially in New Japan by winning the G1. And now, I think that originally Okada came out, he was with the Elite, right? And now he's with the Don Callis family, at least it seems like that for the most part. And so now there's kind of this Don Callis always calls Takeshita the alpha of the Callis family, and now he's got Okada, who I know feels like an alpha. So yeah, I mean it makes sense. So in that regard, it's fine. I'm not the biggest Okada fan, so I don't know that I necessarily need to see Takeshita versus Okada like chomping at the bit. I mean, it'll be fine, but I'm not necessarily chomping at the bit to see it. Other than I think it's great to see the Don Callis family having issues. I'm happy. I'm extremely happy here, even though it wasn't what I would call a clean finish. I'm very happy that Josh Alexander was the one that actually got the pin here. I'm disappointed it was against Mike Bailey and that it was Mike Bailey missing his finishing move that ultimately led to Josh Alexander getting the roll-up. Doesn't necessarily make Josh look in the strongest position, but at least he got the win and wasn't the guy for the Callis family that took the pin. Jet Speed losing again, okay, I guess it is what it is. I mean, they're only a mid-card tag team, I suppose, anyhow. So them losing, I you know, I understand that it isn't a tag team championship match in any way, shape, or form, but Brodito just won the titles and now they lose the next night. And I know it's a multi-man match and I know it wasn't them that lost and all those things, but it just feels a little weird to have them win the title on Saturday and lose their first match on Wednesday. I know, again, not a title match, not a title defense match, any of those things, but it just seems a little odd. But again, it is what it is. So yeah, I thought it was fine ultimately.
All right, and then we have a backstage segment with Mark Briscoe, and the reason why he's not here is because his wife had another freaking baby. Sir, please get off of you dudes who don't realize the stuff women got to go through. Get off of your wives. 9 kids, and you go to Dynamite and come back. No, get off of her. Get off.
She didn't get on him. Why is it him on her?
9 kids. This ain't an old lady who lives in the shoe. That was not her decision. 9 kids.
Either doesn't want to say no or has a problem saying no. You can use your words, No,
no, we're not gonna make this dirty. It's a very appeasing act, and so once you put it on, once you're behind me, it's no turning back. So just get off. Just go away. Just go away. Dad got it. Either way,
hilarious.
He has the baby, and then he tells his older kid, "Here, take that." It's 9 of them. It's 9 of them. The older sibling is a parent. The older sibling has parent at least 2 kids. After 9, yeah, he's a dad. He's a freaking dad. But it was hilarious.
Right.
But we will be getting Cal Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe for the TNT title next week. Nice. Any thoughts on this promo segment?
Mark Briscoe's hysterical, and I'm always happy to watch Mark Briscoe at this point and give a promo, especially. Just in watching AEW, I feel like he's come a long way. I don't have a whole lot of experience with him before AEW. I've seen them periodically in their earlier years, and he's definitely grown leaps and bounds overall in general. But yeah, no, I did. This is good. I think that don't think he's beating Kyle Fletcher, unfortunately. I think
I
that
don't.
that's,
Yeah,
fairly
unfortunately.
predictable. But he'll give him a good
Yeah.
match as he's a solid wrestler, and Kyle Fletcher's been having good matches with everybody. So the match itself should be fun. I just don't think there's a lot of unpredictability in it. But I mean, anytime I can see Mark Briscoe on TV, especially in the ring, doing what he does, it should be fun. So I'm here for that. So
Facts. Yeah, no facts. All right, and then give me a minute. Boop. Yep. Now we have an in-ring segment with our still AEW Heavyweight Champion Hangman Adam Page, and he comes in. He's straining down the ring because hey, we're on a mission. And first he points out he's the first to point out the whole Will Ospreay hurt his neck thing. He's very grateful. Like, this is what? This is an hour and 30. This is an hour and 20 minutes into the show. This is the first time someone's gonna bring up Ospreay, got his behind whooped. I mean, dang! I'm just saying. Anyway, I know we all know it's meant to write him off, but can we commit to the script and someone avenge this ninja? No, I'm just saying. But yeah, Heyman was like, I appreciate everything you have done for me, and when you come back, I will love nothing more than to do a one-on-one match between us in the future, and that's probably going to be like we don't. There's no clock, but I'm pretty sure we're all aiming towards next year, all in London. Heyman versus Osprey. That's definitely gonna happen. And then he gets towards MJF, and he's like, "Listen, I don't care if you still have that contract. You go, you when you sign, I'm still gonna whip you up behind." And interesting enough, here comes the Don Callis comes out, and I didn't know this that he was part of the ECW brand, so he is no stranger to Philadelphia, which was crazy. But he is still Don Callis, so they booed the crap out of him. And he says, "Listen, you have to worry about one of us because you are not worthy to hold this belt. And one of the Don Callis family members is going to go after that title. It's not a matter of when it's going to happen. It's a matter of who. I think we all know who. And he said that Rocky Romero, Wardlow, and I think Trent came out. Well, more so it was definitely Rocky Romero, Wardlow, and someone else came out, and it's like it's none of these guys. None of these guys are going to beat Hangman for the title. No offense. And so they come in, they start attacking Hangman. Here comes Jet Speed for the save. Oh, yay! And so, but again, Don Callis family, the basketball team, they got too many people. But here comes Kenny Omega. He comes in, start kneeing everybody in the face like you're a crackhead emotionally. The good guys are on top. Pause. Everyone gets scrambled up. Lance Archer's in the ring. Omega is in the ring, but Hangman is on the ropes. It's like, are we doing it? Are we doing it? Buttshot knee, and so they do it. They do their patented old school tag team finisher, where a B is it called a B trigger to the back? Is that what it's called? Basically Omega with the knee to the back and Heyman with a buttshot layer at the same time. It's like, oh, and then the good guys stand tall. Heyman thanks Omega. So does this mean we are going to get more tag team matches with Omega versus Hangman? Listen, straight off the bat, I'm pretty sure Hangman is cleared. Unlike Osprey, the Lights Out match was just a what do you call it? Just a title of a match. I think he's still good to go. I would not mind Omega and Osprey. Sorry, taking Osprey. Omega and Heyman having, especially now that it's Takeshita. I'm not even like let's call across the barn field. It should be Takeshita in the Callis family to face Hangman. I don't want it more so because whoever Takeshita face, he should beat. Like so I don't want it if he's not beating Heyman. That's just me. I don't want a showcase. I want the next person with a title that Takeshita beats, he takes the title away from them. But if I have to say, That would be really cool if it's Takeshita and Okada, whoo, versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. That would be really tasty. But yeah, any thoughts on this whole segment?
There's a lot here. I'm not sure all of it all makes
It was a
sense
lot. It was.
or belongs together. Like I guess Jet
Go ahead.
Speed belongs here because they've been kind of feuding with the Don Callis family. How can you not with Don Callis having with the Don Callis family having so many members? They're in almost every segment of every show. So, which is one of my complaints about the Don Callis family. I mean, I understand wanting to have a lot of guys and all that stuff. And Callis was good, but it's getting to the point where now you have basically a guy from the Don Callis family. It feels like in almost every segment of everything. So it's like he's everywhere on every show, and it gets to be a
Yes.
little much. Um, I mean, I'm not necessarily as big on I'm not necessarily as big on face Omega as I think other people are. I really like heel Omega. I like the cocky belt collector heel Omega guys. So like the idea of Omega and
Understandable.
Hangman together is fine. And so Okada, or I'm sorry, yeah, Hangman and Omega versus Okada and Fletcher or whoever they Takeshita, I guess, whoever they put Takeshita more likely.
Yeah.
It definitely holds a lot of, that's intriguing. Um, so that I mean it would be fun, but I like I said, I like Omega as a heel better, and Omega versus Hangman moves the needle a lot for me. You can't get there from here at the moment, but that holds a lot of weight for me. So I don't know if you have a heel turn, but maybe an Omega or something happens at some point. But that would be. I still think Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher, those guys are guys that should be holding. Not that Hangman doesn't belong in that conversation, but those are guys that should be holding the belt, the AEW World Championship, and I think Kenny Omega is that one of those guys. So I'm here for that. He's definitely one of those guys I think should be beating Hangman, and my mind should be beating Hangman. But so them being together is what it is, but it'll be fun for the moment. And a match against, like I said, Takeshita and Okada would be fun. Again, Jet Speed coming down. I guess because they have the issue with Hetrocero makes some sense, but they felt a little out of place here because they're not treated like a main event team per se, and yet they're kind of in a main event issue here. But that's because the Don Callis family is too big, right? And so they're involved with everything.
It
Um,
is. Yeah.
but no, I mean, ultimately, like we always say, more often than anybody listening probably wants to hear, in a vacuum, this is fine. So, it works fine. It's
Okay.
convoluted. That's my biggest complaint. And I think that's just because of the size of the Don Callis family, which is getting a little big for me.
No, no. Understandable. Understandable. Next week we're going to get Hangman and Omega with Jet Speed versus uh Takeshita, Cal Fletcher, and the Young Bucks. So we're
Interesting.
basically, yeah, bump them last four. We're getting the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Hangman. That what? It really, who made this decision? Why is it so soon? I know it's an 8-man, but like I said, bump them two teams. We're getting Omega and Hangman versus the Young Bucks. That is crazy. On the different sides now.
Yeah.
They used to be heel, baby. Now they change sides.
The more things
All right.
change, the more they stay the same, right? Like it's not that long ago, but this feels very 2019, right? Like it feels very like these are all the guys that basically opened AEW and then have been gone, but have been here and there and and now they're all back at the same time again. It's like what once was is now
Yeah.
again. So no, and again, all these guys, with the exception of Hangman, who's I've always been kind of on. I love them all. So
Yeah. And correction, I'm sorry. It is Cal Fletcher and Josh Alexander with the Young Bucks versus
oh, okay,
Hangman, Omega, and Jet Speed.
okay.
Either way, don't care. It's Young Bucks versus Omega and Hangman. And then now we have a trios championship match where we have the Ops, Samoa Joe, Shibata, and Powerhouse versus the Gates of Agony and Ricochet. This was really good. And of course, why wouldn't it be? All these people don't suck. And Cobbs really shined in here as he should. He is the youngest, and you should push the future. You should push the future. But coincidentally, the ending happened where MVP gets his cane and cracks the back of Ricochet's back, and then Samoa Joe goes for the chokehold, but he out, baby. He ain't tapping at nothing, and that's how the Ops get the 1, 2, 3 for the win. What do you think about before we go into it? What do you think about the match?
It's nice to see that those trios titles are getting defended against good competition.
Yes.
They just defended them at Forbidden Door against the War Dogs. So no, I mean they're doing good work, and I'm happy to see the trios titles meaning something. So, and I love Joe. So anytime Joe wins, I'm happy.
Yes. Yes. So the Ops hold titles high. They exit. They get Agony trying to lift up Ricochet to get him out the ring, but here comes we hurt people. We hurt people. Here comes a very angry Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin to confront the people who cost them their title match on Sunday, and they brawl out into the brawl back up the ring to the entrance. This story doesn't suck, but it needs more spice to it. It needs more spice to it. SP3 said something that could have helped, where like, oh, what if the Ops actually lost their belts to Ricochet and gets Agony, and then we have a trios match between MVP, Lashley, and Shelton versus Ricochet gets Agony. That would have been a little bit more that works. The only thing is I haven't seen MVP wrestle in a minute, so I don't trust that he can go like that. But it does need something. It makes sense where Ricochet gets his lick. We discuss it later. The match right after this, Ricochet got his lick back from being bullied by Hurt Syndicate. But it's still like it's too. I could say it's too late. But it's like, does anyone even remember? That's why Ricochet turned heel. I don't know. Or more so because of Swerve, more so than anything. But besides that, it was a great match. I love Gates of Agony. I love that they are in this position. They need something more though. I'm not sure what it is, but they need something more just to hype them just a little bit more. But great match. So your thoughts on this match segment, and then we're gonna go towards Forbidden Door about the tag team trios match.
Knowing what we know about Forbidden Door, I find it interesting that we're back here again. I mean, I've been saying that the reason that I thought that the Hurt Syndicate should lose at Forbidden Door is because Bobby Lashley needs to be in the singles division doing his singles work, chasing one of the titles. So in regards to knowing what happened at Forbidden Door, which we'll talk about in just a minute, this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me because it doesn't do what I thought was the purpose of the outcome at Forbidden Door. So in that regard, it's questionable to me. And like you said, I don't necessarily need to see MVP in the ring anymore at this point, and especially not as one of the members of the trios championships. And as much as I like the Hurt Syndicate, still say the sweet spot is Bobby Lashley for the world title or the TNT title or even the unified title, because Okada's brought up it's, whatever, even the unified title. And, either bringing in someone else for Shelton to tag team with, or I don't know what Shelton for the TNT title, something, whatever else they're going to do with Shelton Benjamin, probably end up sitting in catering or standing a lot at ringside as Bobby wrestles things. But, so in that regard, it's fine. I just don't know that I don't, it's not fine. Let me rephrase that. I don't necessarily want to see Bobby Lashley continue to wrestle in tag team and or trio stuff. And I don't really want to see MVP wrestle on a regular basis, especially not as a trios champion. So, no, I don't think the Ops should lose the belts at this point. I like them, and I think they're defending them well. So I haven't seen a trios team at the moment that I think I really want to beat the Ops for those titles at the moment. So.
All right, and so since we're here, let's talk about Forbidden Door. It was a trios tag team match for the championships. We have Hurt Syndicate versus FTR versus Bro, I gonna say Bro D, like we need their name. Bro Dito. This was a very good match as it should be because again, none of these teams suck. FTR are ring generals as well, and Bro Dito out of nowhere, they're really good. Like that whole finishing move of just Brody King using his legs to further push Bandito into a 450 on someone. That is really a sick move. It just like just more so like how do you set it up where it's not so long. But either way, it's so good. If you're not here earlier, the Hurt Syndicate got attacked by masked men and they start brawling up the ramp and FTR gets the 1-2. But the foot was on the ropes, and that's why they didn't get the win. And then Bro Dito wins the tag team championship, and then at the end of it, Ricochet and Get to Agony remove their mask to reveal that they're the ones who beat up Hurt Syndicate to get to cause them the match. It wasn't convoluted. It just wasn't the spark that I needed for someone to have Hurt Syndicate lose. And unfortunately, knowing what we know from behind the scenes, it really was like, bro, Dito. FTR should be holding these belts. I know you say about not pushing older people, but they've been doing so good with this heel run that I really do think they should have the belts before the heel run is over. So this would have been a good place for them to win, especially when it's a trios match. That's just me, but great match nonetheless. But predictable in a very weird way, to say the least. Your thoughts?
I mean, the predictable part of this for me was that I had a feeling that the Hurt Syndicate was going to lose here because I think Bobby Lashley is a singles wrestler and that's where the money is. So that's exactly why I predicted them to lose. FTR doesn't need the belt. FTR's legacies are solidified. They don't need the titles. Brodito and Brody King, or Brodito, Bandito and Brody King are still trying to solidify whatever they are in AEW. And we've talked a lot about Brody King deserving more. And with Malachi Black being gone and the split up of the House of Black, what that was going to look like for the pushing of Brody King because Malachi Black was holding him back, whatever the thought was around that. Whether I think it or not, clearly for him, I imagine being tag team champions is very exciting. And being AEW World, I mean, I guess he was trio champions with the House of Black, but for him, this is a big deal. I mean, this isn't with Malachi Black. This is with another guy in a Frankenstein tag team where he has a much bigger presence, and this is much more of a Brody King show. It's really a Brody King and Bandito show where they work well together. Brody King gets a lot of offense, gets an opportunity to look really well. And so I think this is a big deal for them. Now, do I think that Brodito is necessarily, from a feel-good perspective, I think it's wonderful for the titles. Long term, are they the cream of the crop in the AEW tag team division that should have the belts and should be the representatives for the AEW tag team division? I don't know. That's up for debate. We'll have to see how they book them during this title run, how long they have the belt for, how they comport themselves. But that's always up for debate. You know, we know that FTR can carry that weight. We know the Young Bucks can carry that weight, all those things. So, and we know that the Hurt Syndicate has been doing a good job carrying that weight so far. So we'll have to see if these guys are up to it. You know, I suppose putting the belt on these guys could bring it down a step in some people's minds, and we'll have to see how they play it out to see if it actually does. But for me, this was my second favorite match of the night because of the outcome, because I thought it was unpredictable. I never expected Brodito to actually win. I assumed that FTR was going to get the win. I knew Hurt Syndicate was going to lose. I didn't know exactly how, but I knew that I thought that FTR was going to win. So Brodito getting the win here made this match for me. It's one of those things. It's that same kind of feel-good situation as when Dustin won the TNT championship, you know, at the last pay-per-view. So The difference here is that I think these guys have more legs as far as potentially having the belts for longer. Obviously, Dustin didn't last very long, injuries and other stuff. We knew it was only a matter of time. He wasn't going to have that title for more than a month or two anyhow. I'm hoping that that isn't the same situation for Brodito because I think they're in a different situation. They're not as old, they're not as limited, they don't have the issues that Dustin Rhodes has, and so I think that they have a much more. Their leash should be a lot longer. So hopefully they'll have a good run, and I'm looking forward to it. Harkening back to why now Hurt Syndicate is chasing the trios championships, that doesn't make any sense because they should only lose.
Not a championship. They're just battling against the agony of Ricochet.
Yeah, which is ultimately, trios. Okay, so back to trios work, and whatever the case may be, faction warfare, I guess, is what it is. We'll have to see how it actually comes out. But if the goal is for them to now work as a trio and potentially trace the trios championship, if they get rid of Ricochet and Gates of Agony out of the way, I'm not, I think the goal really should be Bobby Lashley, singles wrestler for a title. So, and then bringing in a fourth person to the Hurt Syndicate to team with Shelton Benjamin for the tag team stuff. Much like in WWE, and maybe it's too copycatterish, but I think that Hurt Syndicate is the type of group that should, at some point in the near future, have all the gold. They should have the tag team championships and the world championship.
I don't disagree with you. It's a matter of if it's going to actually happen. Yeah. And like you said, I agree with you about Bandito. It's more so just please hype them up. It feels like if you're not FTR or Young Bucks, your championship tag team reign isn't going to be as prominent as it could be, and they need to change that. They really do.
Yeah.
All right. And so next, but last match of Dynamite, the main event, Darby Allin's first match back, and it is we're in Philly. It's a street fight, and against Claudio Castagnoli. Yay! Like, listen, the best Darby matches is when he's big, is when he's little, they big, they throw him around, and this was definitely all it was. So Claudio comes out with a shopping cart, and Darby again out of nowhere just cross bodies him, just starts pounding him like an emotional cracker that he is. And so they're fighting. And side note, Heat Wave from NXT was so good. It was actually a very, very good show. And I need WWE to stop counter programming because you're just hurting yourself, especially with NXT, which already has a big hill to climb of getting fans to watch their premium live events. That being said, the greatest match was Oba Femi versus Javon Evans. And the match and the spot of the night was Oba grabs Devon and just straight up yeets him over the ring through the announce table for the win. Pure craziness, loved it. It feels like Darby saw that and told Claudio, uppy. It's that's literally what you can't tell me that's not what happened. So Claudio gets Darby and just the same thing and yeets him over the ring into the announce table, but it's AEW announce tables. They don't like to freaking break. So Darby doesn't go through it. He just bounces off that sucker like a freaking pinball. Sir, I need to see your x-ray. I need to know how are you not hurt more? Like, what is going on? Are you taking pills before you do this stuff, or you're just numb to all of this? And then crazy enough, after he ping-balls off the announce table, 2 minutes afterwards says, "All right, I'm gonna go down." And it's like, what? You couldn't collapse when old boy got ping-balled? What is wrong with you? And of course, Claudio's in control, but Darby is Darby using teeth, fingernails, and teeth. It gets the upper hand with a couple of with definitely a code red didn't work, and then he just starts just doing coffin drops all over the place. About at least 3, 1, 2, 3. Darby beats Claudio Castagnoli. Welcome back, Darby. You are, I'm trying to think, but I think I can say you're probably definitely top 3 best television wrestlers I have seen. Every time he does a match on television, I'm I'm all in for it. Then here comes Gabe Kidd for the attack. Uh, and then here more the Death Riders are attacking Darby. Somehow he escapes and goes off the ramp, and Moxley just starts screaming. That's the end of the show. That was a very weird ending. That's why it's like there's no need to do a separate thing about it. Darby escapes, so we're good. But more so, how do you feel about the match between Claudio and Darby Allin? I loved it.
Phenomenal. I thought it was a great main event. I thought they did a good job here of showing, for all the times that I rail against big guy, little guy, it's a little different with Darby Allin because he's so outlandish in what
Yes.
he does. I mean, there are some comparisons to some other guys, that have been around in the past. And for me, he's his lack of fear in any way, shape, or form is the only way that I can put it.
Mm-hmm.
Makes him much watch television. He's not at the top of my favorites list in any way, shape, or form, or the best list. But every time he's on TV, I've got to watch him because he's magnetic as far as watching what he's going to do. He's always going to do something that is like holy smokes, right? So, and this was no different. He climbed that beam and did that coffin drop off the beam onto Claudio. He coffin dropped 4 or 5 times on Claudio by the time it was all over and done with. Um, you know, whether Darby Allin should be beating Claudio Castagnoli or not, I still ultimately want more for Claudio. I think, it's
Yes,
good for
me
him
too.
that he's been with John Moxley to a certain extent. I also get concerned that, there's a little bit of holding Claudio back at times too. I mean, I think that Claudio could be a world title holder if he had the opportunities. And I feel like with the Death Riders, he doesn't really get those opportunities because those seem to all go to John Moxley. So, in that regard, and I don't know, it doesn't seem like the Death Riders are going anywhere, and it doesn't seem like there's any dissension between Claudio and Moxley. So I have no reason to think that there's any, that he's not just going to be there indefinitely. In which case, this is what we're going to get, which is fun. I mean, this is great. I love seeing Claudio in the main event. I love seeing him beat up Darby. Yeah, the spot. Well, I'm not watching NXT at the moment or in WWE, so I didn't see the Opa Javon spot. But Claudio throwing Darby Allin, all the way into the announce table was like, holy smokes, right? And just the stuff that Darby's
Oh, that's
willing to
true.
do for the sake of the show, yeah, it has my respect. So, in that regard, I'm here for it.
Yes.
The match itself was phenomenal. Um, and I thought it was a great way to end a very solid Dynamite. I'm going to say that because I want to call it post match because it really was. I mean, it made sense to a certain extent. Darby, was able to weasel his way out of
It
there
was
and get out of
clunky
there. But
though.
it's like, if you're not going to do something, I'm not totally sure why you guys are here. But at the same time, it makes Darby look like he's still a step ahead because here they are and they still can't get
Yeah.
him. Right, he still finds a way to weasel his way out. Right, end
Yeah.
up pushing Gabe Kidd into John Moxley and getting out of there before anyone can get him. He's still slippery Darby Allin. So as much as you want to just grab him and rip his head
Yeah.
off, John Moxley can't do that because he can't get his hands on him quite like that. So,
Right.
especially in a post match situation. So, in that regard, I thought that was kind of fun. But yeah, it was probably a little unnecessary. But with the Death Riders, they always have to do something after the match, right? I mean, that's just kind of the MO for them. So,
True.
the idea that you were just going to have Claudio versus Darby, especially with the history between Darby and John, and not have something happen
Yeah.
with John with the Death Riders coming out was probably, it would be naive to think that that's not going to happen. So, but again, so the way it worked out, at least Darby didn't just get destroyed again and, become some sort of nasty
Right.
victim to them. He was able to get away and push off for another day. So I liked that part of it, even though it was a little less maybe climactic than seeing someone get beat up. And it's always fun watching Darby get beat up because he's so good at selling it. But like in this situation, I'm glad that he got away because it's a little bit different than it would normally be, right? Because I feel like normally they'd get him and beat him up. So this adds a little bit of different
Like
flavor
it was
to it.
just clunky.
Yeah, and so I
Yeah.
thought this was really, really good. The main event was great, and man, Claudio, dude. I mean, as much
Mm-hmm.
as Darby's fun to watch, Claudio is just that guy. He just is, right? And that
Yeah.
that pop up European uppercut. I mean, Darby must have been 15 feet in the air, and again, that's due to Darby's athleticism and whatever. But I mean, just the way it all looked was insane. So yeah, I mean, Give me more Claudio Castagnoli. I want Claudio Castagnoli versus Hangman Page for the World Championship. I want Claudio Castagnoli versus, whoever, Okada for the Unified Championship. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on the TNT title. Oh, Kyle Fletcher. Claudio versus Kyle Fletcher would be fine. I mean, the idea that Claudio versus Kyle, that seems to me to work a little bit. It's not like the Callis family and the Death Riders are necessarily on the same page or friends or any of that. So, I mean, they're both heels, so it would be what it is. But I want to see Claudio versus those guys. I get a little frustrated that it feels like John Moxley gets every big shot that the Death Riders get, right? And it is what it is because it's John Moxley's faction, but it feels a little like Claudio still deserves more. But this show, so I gave Collision a C.
I would say at least.
Right.
Yeah, no, I was saying at least let him go for the TNT title or the Unified title. At least that.
Yeah,
that's it.
I was gonna say I gave Collision a C. I'm giving Dynamite a B plus. I thought it was extremely solid. There wasn't anything that I thought was terrible on this show. Even the stuff that I thought was down wasn't as bad as some of the stuff that I thought was on the previous version or the Collision. Unfortunately, I thought some of the stuff on Collision borderline egregious. I didn't think there was anything that bad here. So I'm giving this a B plus. What are you giving Dynamite overall?
I give Collision an A minus because I loved it. Did Dynamite more so beat Collision? They did. It's a solid A, like you said. The only thing was Mercedes Moné promo. Didn't need to be there. The ending of the main event was kind of clunky, but not really enough to be like two points down. But no, all the matches were good, and we're getting somewhat a direction for what you call it for all. I keep it. So here's the thing, because the last 2 years before this year, they did all out, all out back to back. We didn't have Forbidden Door in the middle, so that's why I'm like, what's going on there? All out. But yeah, and can't forget about the Christian and Adam Copeland segment. That was beautiful. So solid A.
So that means that AEW Dynamite from Wednesday, August 27th gets the win for this week versus Collision. It starts to feel a little bit like I represent Collision and you represent Dynamite, and Anika's whooping my ass every week.
Which is crazy.
Since you do lead one and I lead the other. But at the same time, it's really their show, so I'm not taking the L on, but it is what it is. But your champion, I guess, Miss Anika this week, along with AEW Dynamite. What'd you give since we are pseudo reviewing it, give a grade for Forbidden Door?
I would give it a strong C plus.
Whoa.
And I say strong C plus more so because it was predictable. There was I needed excitement in that's the only reason for the grade. It was definitely passable. The matches were fine, but I needed some kind of good predictability of, oh snap, they actually exchanged hands with the belt and not the tag team titles. That was more so.
Yeah, you getting ready to go camping? Yeah, I love you. Want to say hi? Okay.
Hi.
I love you. Okay. Can I have a kiss before you go? All right. I'll see you when you get back. Have fun. They're going camping, so he wanted to say goodbye before they go camping. The last camping trip of the summer season. So.
That's great. Yeah. Oh, have fun. Okay, but yeah, just because of the unpredictability of the show, I give it a strong C plus. It's very strong, but you knew who was going to win.
So I've got to give it a unified grade at some point, but like I agree with you. Like, as far as predictability, it was probably a C. As far as wrestling, the actual in-ring work, I thought it was an A. So I got to come somewhere. I don't know, like the wrestling itself, the matches were all so good. Like, I mean, I had a hard time even deciding which ones I liked best over the other ones. And it doesn't really matter, but like they were all solid. So I got to be somewhere in the middle there. I got to call it like a B, I think, probably because, until you really mentioned it, I I feel like I kind of knew what was going to happen, but it didn't feel like that when I was watching the show per se. But now that you mention it, it was pretty predictable. But the wrestling was so freaking good. I thought the in-ring work was so good that I just like I was getting like originally when I was talking to my buddy, I gave it like a 9 out of 10 because we usually talk about like out of 10. I gave it a 9, but
Oh wow.
now I mean I guess in hindsight, it's probably it's more like an 8 probably. So I'm gonna give it a B. So you gave it a C, I
I'll
give it a
hike it to a
B.
B minus.
Oh yeah. So
I'll hike it to a B
B
minus.
minus. Okay. So I gave it a B. You gave it a B minus. Those are our grades for Forbidden Door, which was a very solid show. In my opinion, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it if you have the ability. It's worth watching if you're a wrestling fan, if you're an AEW fan, if you're a technical wrestling fan, at least watch Nigel and Zack Sabre Jr., which was, a
Definitely.
technical clinic. So AEW Dynamite did get the win, as we mentioned. So congratulations to them again this week. And we will do a little housekeeping and then we will get up out of here. Make sure and join us every Tuesday night for the cookout, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern, where we come together and talk about what's cooking up in the world of professional wrestling. On Friday nights, as it was last night, you get Friday Night Fights with Anika and or hopefully someone joining her. Last night, I believe she was solo. So, but starting at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, Anika watches SmackDown in real time and gives you her real-time opinions and reviews of the show as she watches it. Every Saturday morning, which you're with us here now, for the Winner's Circle, we review AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision from the Saturday and Wednesday before, gave each show a grade, and the winner is our winner for that week. This week it was AEW Dynamite from the 27th of August, getting the win. So that's every Saturday morning, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. So make sure and join us every Saturday for that. You can scan this QR code, and that will take you to Linktree. And from Linktree, you can get to all of our social media from one place. We love to interact with you guys. Come over there, give us a follow, give us a whatever it is, subscription, whatever you got to do. Let us know you support us. We support you guys. We appreciate each and every one of you that does support us. And like I said, if you scan that QR code, you can get it all. You can get to all of them from one nice place at Linktree. So, and then last but not least, if you want to listen to just the audio version of the Cookout podcast, you don't have time to sit and watch it on Tuesday nights live or go back and sit and watch it. You can always just listen to our golden vocal cords on these podcast platforms, thanks to Dolores, who puts the audio version on there. So make sure and check that out if you don't get a chance to watch the Cookout. So since we've been talking to you now for like 3 hours and 10 minutes, but we did cover a lot, we'll go ahead and get up out of here unless you got any
We did
last
good.
words before
Forgot
I
what
cut
you
the
gotta
lights.
cover.
We'll cut the lights and get up out of here. All right.
Yep.
Until next time. Peace.